The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Aaron Rodgers commented publicly on his exit with the Jets, and he slammed Aaron Glenn in the process. We'll talk about that and where the Jets go from here. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
1 week till the NFL draft. 1 week from our first ever Jake Asman Show draft watch party at Clinton Hall in New York City. Fireman Ed will be there. You need to be there if you're a fan of the Jets, Jets. Click the link in the description and lock in your ticket. Your ticket includes a complimentary drink and an automatic entry into our raffle that night where we're giving away Jets tickets, Yankees tickets, signed merch by Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, Joe Klecko, Aaron Glenn, Nick Mangold, and a whole lot more. So lock in your spot before we sell out. Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. First, let's hear from Aaron Rodgers. The former New York Jets quarterback was a guest on with Pat McAfee and was asked about his exit meeting with the New York Jets.
You know, I figured that when I flew across country on my own dime, that there was going to be a conversation. And the confusing thing to me and the strange thing was, you know, when I went out there, I meet with the coach. We start talking. He runs out of the room. I'm like, that's kind of strange. I was like, then he comes back with the GM. And I'm like, all right. So we sit down in the office. And I think we're going to have this long conversation. I've flown across the country. And 20 seconds in, he goes, I mean, literally, I'm talking to the GM about something, and he leans to the edge of his seat and goes, so do you want to play football? And I was like, yeah, I'm interested. And he said, we're going a different direction at quarterback. And I said, and I was kind of shocked. Now, not shocked because I didn't think that was a possibility. Listen, of course, if they want to move on, that's totally fine. But shocked because I just flew across country. You could have told me this on the phone. If we weren't even going to have a conversation, and this is verbatim exactly how it happened. So I said, huh? And he goes, we just want to know how you want it released, the messaging. And I said, verbatim, I don't give a shit about the message. And I said, why? And then he said, I don't want to be up in front of the room saying something and have guys looking back at you.
Interesting.
And I said, what does that even mean? Are you assuming that I would be in the back of the room during a team meeting undermining what you're saying? I said, you don't know me. And he said, you don't know me. And then I said, exactly, which is why I flew across the country to have a face-to-face meeting with you to talk about my experience with the Jets and to hear your vision for the team. 20 seconds in. What I thought was going to be a couple-hour meeting turned into like a 15-minute meeting, and I walked out of there. But
so at that moment,
that was a strange meeting for sure. There was no me pleading like, please have me on the team. No.
I don't know.
Well, I don't want any part of that. It was already a debacle in some cases. Listen, that whole situation was crazy. And I think even that was a little rogue by the head coach.
This whole thing is just sad to me, right? It's just sad. I mean, I'm glad this is the last time that we truly could talk about, you know, Aaron Rodgers and should they keep him, should they not. I don't think Rodgers looks great here. I don't think the Jets look great here. I don't. I was someone who wanted the Jets to keep Aaron Rodgers. This just confirms what I already felt. The decision was already made. There was no chance for Aaron Rodgers to meet with Aaron Glenn and Darren Mucci and for them to leave that meeting, if you want to call whatever that was a meeting, and for Aaron Rodgers to be the Jet quarterback. I mean, he said later in the interview he would play for $10 million this year. I just think when you look at how this was handled, the decision was already made. They had no interest in actually having a real conversation with him. I don't blame Aaron for being upset. If you've been fired before, you don't like your bosses. You got fired. I sit here and I look at this and, I mean, I don't think it's a great look for the Jets. I don't. Aaron Glenn, if you're such a great leader, you can't have at least a conversation with Rodgers. You don't want to hear him out. You don't want to at least pick his brain, get his perspective on what happened. I'm not saying you have to keep him, but it just feels like the decision was already made already. So am I going to sit here, scream and yell? Like, they moved on. They told him this is now going back to the last week of January this meeting occurred, or first week of February, whatever it was. It is what it is. I hope they're right to move on. I hope Justin Fields kills it, because I still think the best chance for the Jets to be a good team in 2025 would have been with Aaron Rodgers back on a pay cut, which means you also don't have this gaping hole at wide receiver because Devontae would have been back too. And you go from there. It is, to me, it is what it is. Like, I think a lot of people are probably like, oh, Jake was a Rodgers guy. He's going to come on and scream and yell. You know, I'm not. I mean, to me, I don't think Aaron Glenn comes across great here. I know there's some Jet fans saying, yeah, we got our guy. Like, that's all great. The tough talk is awesome as long as you now win, right? Like, Aaron Glenn's undefeated as the Jets head coach right now. Right now, Aaron Glenn is still living off the fact he was a great player with the Jets, and no one could ever take that away from him. He was. But they got to now win. Like, if this team is 1-4 next year and Rodgers is on the Steelers playing well, assuming he plays, which I still think, even though he kind of left it up in the air today, I still think ultimately he plays in 2025 for Pittsburgh. Like, no one's going to really care that Aaron Glenn used to play for the Jets. And that's been my point the whole time. Like, show us. Win. You got a first-year GM, a first-year head coach. I don't care if he used to play for the Jets. That is now separate when we evaluate Aaron Glenn as a head coach. So, you know, I'm listening to this, and it's like the decision was already made. There was nothing Rodgers could have said that would have convinced them, hey, we're going to try this one more year with him. Glenn didn't want to deal with it. Or the decision was already made above him, and he knew that coming in, and he was like, you know what, I'm fine with it. Maybe he was like, either way, like, I'll talk to him, I'll hear him out, but if Woody already decided he wants to move on, fine, I'm good with that too. A first-year coach with Rodgers, I understand why a lot of them would not want to deal with it. That's why I personally, among the many reasons, wanted a head coach who has previous head coaching experience. It's why Mike Vrabel would have been perfect, but we know how that ended. But to me, it is what it is. And my big thing was, if you are going to move on from Aaron Rodgers, Fields is the only quarterback you could sell me on where at least I have some hope as a Jet fan going into this year that it could click for him like it did for Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield the last couple seasons. But, you know, did the Jets handle this the wrong way? I mean, you know, part of me feels like if you were going to just say you're moving on, just do that over the phone or on FaceTime. But part of me also feels like, just knowing Aaron Rodgers, well, it would have been, well, you disrespected me by doing it over the phone and not doing it in person. So I don't know if, like, the Jets could have won either way here. That, to me, is not, I guess, my criticism. My criticism is I think Aaron Glenn should have sat down and had a conversation with the guy. I don't think the meeting should have been 15 minutes. I think you got a chance to talk to a guy who had been with the organization the last 2 years, has seen all the dysfunction up close, also comes from the Packers that kicked the crap out of your team for a while there, Aaron Glenn. I would have had a conversation with the guy. He chose not to. That's fine. They moved on. Let's find out if they're right. Because the bottom line is this. It's over. Like, Aaron Rodgers is not a Jet anymore. So Aaron Glenn's not going to win games. Like, that's it. You got to win football games. The Jets are going to need to find a quarterback either this year or next year. Otherwise, like, what are we talking about? Aaron Glenn will be fired just like they fired Aaron Rodgers. But I don't believe this really matters. Like, the decision was already made. Like, I understand Aaron being chapped. Fine. People who are anti-Rodgers are going to say, he's such a baby. I'm going to sit here and say, I get why he's mad. I also understand the Jets wanting to move on. I think my criticism would be they should have had the conversation with the guy. Right? If Aaron Rodgers shows up, flies in cross country, I'd pick his brain. And I think, given the fact that Christopher Johnson called him after, and Darren Muji called him after this meeting, I don't think the Jets love the way that this meeting went. Because otherwise, after it ended, why would you then reach back out and talk to the guy again? But it doesn't matter, is my point. It really doesn't matter. People love Aaron Glenn right now, and I'm rooting like hell for him to be the guy. Bought his jersey, excited, and cautiously optimistic he's our guy long term. You listen to him speak publicly, how could you not be excited? But he's another defensive-minded head coach with no previous head coaching experience. Just like Robert Saleh was, just like Todd Bowles was, right? Like, let's see it. You chose to move on from a guy who, despite not being anywhere close to what he once was at the height of his powers, still threw 28 touchdowns last season. Still went out there and got better as the year went on once he clearly got healthier and clearly was more removed from the Achilles injury. He was willing to play for $10 million. He said all the right things publicly about being willing to mentor someone. They chose to move on from that guy. That's fine. That's their right. My frustration is it just feels like the decision was already made by maybe the powers that be above the head coach. Or if it was truly up to Aaron Glenn, that's fine, but have the conversation with the guy. Pick his brain. There's things you can learn from that. That'd be my thing. But I really don't care. Like, it is what it is. I've accepted Aaron Rodgers is not the Jet quarterback anymore. I have no ill will towards him. I hope if he continues playing, he plays well, as long as it's not against the Jets, which you guys know is a huge fear of mine. Week 1, Monday Night Football, he comes back and probably lights up our defense. And you are out there saying, Jake, you're being ridiculous. Ugh. Deep down, if you're a real Jet fan, and I suspect the 41,000 of you who subscribe to this YouTube channel are real Jet fans, you know that'd be the most Jet-like thing to happen. Besides him getting hurt on the 4th play of the season and his first ever game, the ultimate most Jet-like thing to happen would be him now coming back as the Steeler quarterback and beating us. And I hope to God that doesn't happen, but that's my fear. And I hope Aaron Glenn's defense is ready that night and they prove everyone right that believes this is the right decision. And what time will tell. Either way, even if he was back, it was probably a 1-year thing. So it is what it is. You know? That's where I'm at with this. I think my only criticism of Aaron Glenn here would be talk to the guy. I don't like how Glenn, who's won nothing in the league as a head coach, comes in and basically abruptly just ends this meeting without just having a conversation with the guy. Like, is anyone really going to sit here and say Rodgers is wrong when he says, you don't know me? And his response to Aaron Glenn is, right, that's why I'm here to talk. Like, how do we know they wouldn't hit it off? Aaron Rodgers is very close with Jay Glazer. So is Aaron Glenn. Just so you guys know, you want a little insight into how this story got out? And now it all makes sense as I connect the dots here. So the Jets asked him about messaging, right? That's true. I can tell you that's true. The reason they asked him about messaging is if he had told them, hey, I'm actually going to retire, they would have allowed him to announce that on his own terms. That was why they asked him about messaging. The decision was already made. They were moving on. They were asking him about the messaging, how they want to go forward and put it out there that he's not going to be a Jet. Because if Rodgers was willing to retire, they would have let him do that on his own, and we never would have truly known what the Jets would have done. Would they have brought him back? But it was clear Rodgers was so upset that that's how it was handled. It didn't matter to him. And he told Jay Glazer himself, or someone in his camp told Jay Glazer himself what happened in that meeting, because what Jay reported is exactly what Aaron said today. So it obviously came from the Aaron Rodgers side. And then Jay reported it on Super Bowl Sunday, and the rest is history. That's how that got out. If you want a little inside media for those of you who care. Ultimately, what does it matter? It is what it is. They made their decision. That's fine. Now they better be right. And it's not just about this year. It's about now finding that quarterback. You hope it's Fields. We'll see if they take someone on day 2 or day 3 in this draft. But ultimately, like, it's over. It didn't work. To me, it's just sad that it played out this way. The promise and hope we had when that deal was made, almost 2 years to the date, to this, it stinks. And also, it's clear Rodgers can't stand Woody Johnson. He went out of his way to highlight Christopher Johnson and then said nothing about Woody, which tells you all you need to know. And he also didn't even address Glenn or Muji by name. He just said the coach and the GM. So he's got no love for them. That's fine. To me, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we hope the Jets are proved right and they find their long-term answer at quarterback. Because if they don't, Aaron Glenn will be fired within 2 years. That's how this goes. Maybe he gets a third year because he's a former Jet. We all love him. We all love him until this team's 1-4 this year. They got to win. They got to get off to a good start. Like, you want this fan base that is very split on this decision and just beaten down with, forget just the last 15 years of not making the playoffs, longer than any team in professional sports. You want this fan base to be united, a fan base that hasn't seen a division title since 2002, a fan base that hasn't seen more than 7 wins in a damn season in a decade. Get out to a good start. Make us believe that we're competently coached now. There's talent on this team. That was part of my argument for bringing Rodgers back, right? We all agree the coaching was as bad as it ever was last year. The worst I've ever seen in my lifetime. I don't remember Kotai. Adam Gase wins way more games than what Jeff Ulbrich did once he took over at 2-3. That's how bad it was last year with Ulbrich. Adam Gase went 7-9, which to this day, since the Fitzpatrick 2015 10-6 year, is the highest winning percentage season the Jets have had. That's how bad it has been. So I am hoping that the New York Jets finally got it right at the head coach spot with Aaron Glenn. And we'll find out what Muji is what Woody Johnson called him, his sidekick. Glenn's sidekick. We'll find out. But they made this decision a while ago. And Rodgers' comments just basically confirmed what I thought already. They brought him in not to have a conversation with him about, hey, could we work it out where you stay? It was, how do you want the messaging to be? That's all it was. The decision was made already. Now they need to find a real quarterback. Hopefully it's on their team right now in Justin Fields. We'll find out if Aaron Glenn can coach because he's done nothing in this league as a head coach. We all love the no-nonsense, tough guy approach. You know, oh, he's putting Samini in a locker. Like, that's all great. Now you got to win games. And in the past, I'd be, yeah, can't wait. Like, no, man, I am beaten down following this team, living and dying with every game. Like, I'm not going to be pom-poms raised, go Jets, this is great. Like, show us. Show us. Get off to a good start. You know, beat a division opponent in September next year. You know, go out there and go into Buffalo and give them a game next year. Show us something. Like, that's what I think this fan base wants to see. There's always going to be the people who just positive no matter what. Aaron Glenn could do no wrong. And we're all rooting for Glenn. I want to make it clear. I'm not trying to be anti-Glenn. I'm anti just buying into Jet propaganda no matter what they put out there. They don't deserve it. They do not deserve the benefit of the doubt. They don't. Once again, they have not won more than 7 games in 10 years. So it is a new regime. They deserve the opportunity to prove their incompetence before we all criticize them and say they're incompetent. But, you know, if I'm going to take Rodgers' comments here at face value, my only criticism of that whole thing is I think they should have had the conversation with the guy. Talk to him. I think it's silly not to. And once again, look, I hope Aaron Glenn's the best coach. He's this great leader, this and that. Like, if he's so great, he's that worried about Aaron Rodgers, like, undermining him in meetings? Like, what evidence do we have that Rodgers would do that? We don't. We don't. That's why you talk to him. You get to know him and see if it could work. They didn't even want to do that because the decision was already made. And that's my point. Fine. They better be right. Hopefully they find the quarterback this season, if it's Fields or, I don't know, maybe they draft someone that ends up being their guy, but that's it. Because we all love Aaron Glenn right now and this regime and all that. I get it. Be positive. Now win games. Win games. Because the same people who are positive right now are not going to be feeling great if this team goes out there and they win 4 or 5 games, which they're projected to do by basically everyone who's not a Jet fan right now. And it's another year without the playoffs. Another year picking in the top 7. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, The decision was made. It is what it is. Now let's go win football games. Prove that we have a head coach. Because essentially, Aaron Rodgers showed up to one Jets drive, and this is what Aaron Glenn told him.
You get the fuck out.
That's what he said.
You get the fuck out.
That is what he said to a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Surely no one is going to disagree with anyone's opinion on this. Mark writes in with a super chat. Pick the OC. Pick Lazard. Given multiple number one wide receivers, solid running back room, league average pass protection, 26 in scoring, 5 wins. Fields is no savior. Neither was Aaron. One is younger, cheaper. Let's move on. Fields would not be cheaper. So you're wrong. Fields would not be cheaper. You have one game to win. Your life's on the line. You're going to try and tell me Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers? If you believe that, fine. That's your opinion. But that's not fair. They were the worst coach team in the league. And when people bring up, once again, 5 wins, I'm going to call you a dunce. I'm not saying you're a dunce, Mark, but that comment is a dunce. And I'll tell you why. It's a silly comment. Was Zach Wilson better than Aaron Rodgers? Oh, but Zach Wilson once had the Jets at 6-3 a couple of years ago. Him and Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian combined for 7 wins in 2023. You got to watch the games, man. The Jets led the NFL in blown fourth quarter leads. The Jet defense was one of the worst in the league. Statistically, it was the worst in the league once Saleh got fired. And Obrick was obviously in over his head and completely exposed. They led the NFL in missed kicks. How many times did they have the lead late and the defense collapse? And this is not to say Rodgers was great. He sucked in plenty of games. But if you put what he did last year on the 2023 Jets that won 7 games, they won 10 or 11 that year. That was my point. So if your argument was 5 wins, like, you didn't watch the games, man. You didn't. Fire Aaron Glenn is gifted a membership. I should note this. Whether you are pro Rodgers being brought back or anti, we're all pro winning signed Jets merch by Jets first round draft pick grades. Signed Darrelle Revis. Photo, prize 1. Signed Sauce Gardner jersey, prize 2. Signed Keyshawn Johnson helmet, prize number 3. Signed Al Toon helmet, prize number 4. Signed Ken O'Brien jersey, prize number 5. Our top 5 prizes in Asmaniac raffle number 23, which will be on Monday leading into draft week, baby. Jet Dog is now a channel member. That's 1 raffle entry. Henny says, play for 10 mil, but still hasn't signed with Pitt. I mean, if you listen to the interview, he says he's got a lot of personal stuff or family stuff going on, and he's been in constant communication with Tomlin. I think he's playing football. I also think he would have committed to the Jets if they committed to him. He made it very clear at the end of last year that he wanted to play. It was only when they then fired Saleh and Douglas and they did all the changes that it changed to, if I play, my preference would be the Jets if they want me. Rob writes in, I don't like it, but I'm going to give AG the benefit of the doubt. Year 1, all we could do, JTFU. Jet the F up. Or as Aaron Glenn would say to Aaron Rodgers,
You get the fuck out.
now let's win games, Aaron. We got get the F out to a 4-time MVP. And we have built for this, bleep.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Let's go. Aaron Glenn's talking a big game. I love it, man. If you win. We all loved Rex because guess what? Rex was in the AFC Championship game in his first year. Also, Rex was 3-0 to start his career. We had instant buy-in from Rex. His second game ever, his defense is kicking the shit out of Belichick and Tom Brady in one of the loudest games Giant Stadium has ever sounded. Right? Like, that was important for Rex to get off to a good start. That bravado, that didn't work once the team started being dog poo, which he had a lot to do with, to be fair, once he had more say over the roster construction. But, like, that's why I think we all love AG now. Let's win, man. Get off to a good start. You know, they play Pittsburgh week 1 at MetLife on Monday night, which I think is happening. Let's win that game. Let's not let Rodgers torch us. Because then it's same old Jets if that happens. Aaron Glenn's tenure is cooked 1 game in if that happens. How am I supposed to think otherwise as a Jet fan? You know what I mean? Like, change the narrative. Like, let's go. Brian Dable and Joe Shane, who everyone across town, once fired, went 9-7-1 with Daniel Jones as their quarterback and won a playoff game that year. The Jets have not sniffed a 7-win season, more than that in a decade. They haven't even had an accidental, 8-8 or now 8-9 during this stretch. Think about that. Rex's best coaching job was 2013 with rookie year Geno. They won 8 games. It's been so bad, man. I want to give AG the benefit of the doubt too, but let's see it. In the past, I'd be all in. I'm not doing that now. They got to earn my faith in them. That's where I'm at. I think that's the way to look at it if you're a fan. I'm not going to tell people how to be a fan. You want to be blind loyal to AG? Oh, he's the man. He's putting Samini in the locker. Great. People loved Mangini too, year one, and then he was too stoic. Oh, he was too cold. Tried to be too much like Belichick. Were we saying that when the team was 10-6 and he was the man genius? When Tony Soprano had to stop dinner with Carmelo and have to go over to say hello to him? Like, win games, man. We talk about culture. It's all BS. The only thing that matters is winning. I'm so sick of it. K&D in the house. He has gifted 5 channel memberships.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
K&D in the raffle for 5. Yair Rivera. I could see this being a Woody directive. Aaron Glenn has never been talked about as unprofessional or respectful. Woody is petty as hell. Woody equals clown. I think Aaron Glenn tried to alpha Rodgers here. He tried to Parcells him, but Parcells had the pelts on the walls, he would say. That's fine. Right? Rex had a lot of bravado, too. He won right away. It was different. I think it's very important for Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji to get off to a good start. Big fella says, Rodgers bitching about flying cross-country on his dime is ridiculous. Guy made the most money in NFL history. Awful look. Now on to the Fields era. I mean, I do understand his point, though. Like, if you were just going to move on and the call was just about messaging that couldn't be handled over the phone. Now, I also will say this. Part of me knowing Rodgers would be like, well, they didn't even have the decency to tell me in person. So I don't like, I'm not going to be that mad. Like, I don't think Rodgers looks great with that line. And I don't think Aaron Glenn looks great with the trying to alpha him in the meeting and then not even giving him a legitimate conversation. I think it's wrong. I think both sides are wrong there. But here's my takeaway. It doesn't matter. They were moving on regardless how this meeting went. This wasn't a meeting. There was no meeting. This was Joe Pesci walking into the room and getting taken out. Like, this wasn't a meeting. This was a hit. It was over. Fade to black. See you later. Henny says, wonder if Robert Saleh had a convo with Darnold. I think Joe Douglas just called him. They were moving on. Nick Shine, there's never been a player who gets cut who enjoys the experience. The difference is he's one of the few people want to hear from. Yeah, no one likes to be fired. You know? Most of the time when people get cut, they don't have the platform Aaron Rodgers does, to Nick's point. Wayne, thank you for the subway ride later, or part of it. Aaron Cooper with a super chat. Put your seatbelts on. It's going to be a crash and burn. I hope not. Wayne's actual comment here is Glenn's an alpha in the team. He wasn't going to kiss Rodgers' butt. See, I understand your point. Is having a conversation with the guy, kissing his butt, or maybe doing your job as a first-time head coach? You don't think you could gain anything about your team by talking to him? I mean, this is a guy that's beaten your defense several times. Yeah, just have the conversation would be my point. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm over it, guys. I don't care. I don't. They moved on. This meeting didn't change the fact the decision was already made before the meeting even happened. So what do I care about the details of it? I'll tell you where I think Rodgers, I think it looks silly, and where Glenn, I thought, handled it poorly. But does it matter? The decision was already made. So if we want to revisit that, then just go back to my show the week after the Super Bowl when we were talking about it all week, whether it was right or wrong. Because I stand by everything I said then. I would have kept him on a pay cut for one more year if it meant Devontae was back too. They chose not to. Hopefully, Fields is awesome. Castaway writes in, you shouldn't just throw away a resource. I don't think it's a good sign about Glenn. Sounds like he needed to show he was in charge and in control, not about the team. If it was, you dig into it. Yeah, I mean, he just basically wanted to alpha him is my feeling on it. All good. Just be good at your job, right? No one cared how Belichick acted until he started sucking. Got to win. James in the Asmaniac raffle for 5 with this $20 super chat. The decision was made. If they didn't meet in person, AR would have said, they couldn't even say it to my face. It's always something with Aaron. New regime could have talked to him, but honestly, I'm fine without AR circus. Fine. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, the decision was made already. Are we going to be that upset over this meeting? Like, no. I don't think it's a great look for Aaron or the Jets. I know. At the end of the day, once again, the decision was made already. Like, I don't know how, we could really microanalyze this all we want. What does it matter? No, there's no new information here. They already signed his replacement months ago. Tyrone says, that was low by the Jets. I think it's more Woody, but Glenn better win, or he better win, or he too will hear it. I mean, if Aaron Glenn goes out there this year and wins 4 or 5 games, or maybe this team could go out there and win 6 or 7, right? Then he goes into year 2, and if they're under 500 again, or they miss the playoffs, there's a chance he could be fired. But at the bare minimum, he's now on a playoff mandate in year 3. Like, this happens quick. You don't get that long in today's NFL. Sean Payton made the playoffs in his second year in Denver. They won 8 games his first year. More than any single season the Jets have won in a decade. The Texans were a bigger dumpster fire than the Jets. How do I know this? I worked for ESPN Houston for 6 years doing afternoon drive down there. They were. It was a mess. They had a former preacher, character coach of the Patriots as their general manager. It was so bad. They turned it around. Got the coach right, hit on the quarterback, away they go. Commanders were the team picking second at this time a year ago. They were just in the NFC Championship game. Every other team could find a way to figure it out. The Giants, as bad as they have been, went to the playoffs and won a playoff game a few years ago with Daniel Jones. The Jaguars have been a mess. Guess what? They went to the playoffs and won a playoff game. Every team that picked in the top 5 during the Jets' historic 2022 draft, Detroit, Jacksonville, Houston, the Giants, they all made the playoffs at least once since then and won a playoff game. The Jets are the only team that has not come close. So Aaron Glenn's going to get this year. He'll get next year in all likelihood. And then after that, they better have made the playoffs by then. Or he's on the hot seat in year 3. You don't get that long in today's NFL. You shouldn't. Joe Douglas getting 6 years was an extreme set of circumstances. Dan writes in, if you weren't with us at 5-12, don't be with us at 3-14. I think they'll be better than that, but ugh. Mother effing chew. The players love Salah and AR. If AG isn't a good coach and they don't win, it's going to be bad in the media for both. Well, I can tell you this. The media can't wait for the Jets to be bad so they can give it to Glenn. That's why I think he's got to get off to a good start. They are waiting. They're circling in the waters right now, ready to pounce on Aaron Glenn if this backfires. The same media that ran Aaron Rodgers out of town and built up narratives about the guy that aren't true, they can't wait to shit on Aaron Glenn if this team sucks this year. I am telling you, they are not thrilled with the lack of availability they've been receiving, right? Jets are the only team in the NFL that didn't make any of their free agents available. Right? It's that the people that cover the team, the talk show hosts in this town, they are rooting for the failure of Aaron Glenn, in my opinion. That's my feeling. Because they don't like the fact that he's come in, he's tried to push back on them. We as fans are like, yeah, it's great. As long as they now win. You see my point? Salah was friends with them, right? He'd give them information. He'd text with them. Friend of the show, Joe B, will tell you what Salah would say. That was going on with everyone, though. Trust me. It was. Joe Douglas, too. He had relationships in the media. Where do you think these hit pieces are coming from? They're coming out. Who do you think is giving them the sourcing? So Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji aren't talking to anyone right now, which is the right approach, I think. But I think there's like a fine line with that, you know? Like Glenn's going all Parcells. Parcells already had 2 Super Bowls when he was coaching the Jets by the time he got here. Took another team to the Super Bowl in New England. Rat Diddy with a super chat. We all loved AR as a Jet, and today we got his side on how it went down. Glenn hasn't said one word on AR and is focused on the current team. We owe him his chance to do things his way. Absolutely. It's well said. I want to make it clear he gets his chance. I also want to make it clear that for those celebrating today, like it's a big, like, yeah, Jets were proven right by moving on from AR because a disgruntled employee was upset with how it was handled. Like, nah, man. Jets will be proven right if Justin Fields balls out this year and this team is good. That's how they get proven right. Sam says, this has Woody's classy hands all over it. He couldn't get over the Jets being run by a teenager comment. I'm sure that's certainly part of it, Woody's doing. Woody didn't want Rodgers back. Let's call it for what it is. All right? Go watch Mike Tannenbaum duck my questions directly on Aaron Rodgers when I had him 2 feet from my face at the Combine for, a 25-minute conversation. I appreciate Mike coming on, and obviously he said what he said. I had my position. He had his, but I left that conversation with Tannenbaum, who was in the meetings with Woody, as they're hiring Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, with the feeling that it was already a made-up decision. They weren't going to keep him. They were moving on. Rodgers goes out of his way to highlight how great of a guy Christopher Johnson is, says nothing about Woody. I just wish McAfee, instead of just taking 45 minutes to ask a question, actually had a couple questions like that you could follow up with, because that's one of them. You bring up Chris. What about Woody? Have you heard from him? But whatever. Mock writes in, Glenn asked if he wants to play, and Rodgers gave his typical lackadaisical answer, yeah, I'm interested. That to me showed Glenn everything, and they probably figured that was going to be his attitude. So wait a second. You mean to tell me, Mock, that Aaron Glenn asking Aaron Rodgers, do you want to play football? And Rodgers replying, yeah, I'm interested. That is enough for a first-time head coach to say, that's it. You're out of here. I heard the answer. I didn't like it. I'm moving on from a guy who's won 4 MVPs. He's probably one of the 5 best quarterbacks to ever play. If their stance is they're going to move on after having a conversation, so be it. But come on. You really think Aaron Glenn in that moment then decided to go, you're out of here? It was already determined he was done. Let me sell you the Brooklyn Bridge if you think that answer from Rodgers, him saying, yeah, I'm interested, to the question, are you interested in playing football? Or do you want to play football next year, is why they got rid of him. Come on. They figured that was going to be his attitude? No, maybe you have the conversation with him and you determine if there's a way to make this relationship work. That's been my point the whole time. It was already made up. The semantics of this meeting, who cares? Their decision is they're right. They're moving on. Now we find out they're right. I would have tried to keep them for one more year. Uno says, Jake, when Rodgers went down that night, it's clear to me Woody Johnson is cursed. Yeah, it was the worst. I mean, it was the worst night of my sports life. I'll never get over that. The worst. I mean, only the Jets. Who knows what would have happened if that never happened? Like, if he played and they missed the playoffs, we would have had Mike Vrabel as our head coach this past year. Saleh would have been gone. Everything could have looked different. Who knows? It's just sad, man. It's bittersweet. Like, there were such high hopes for these last 2 years, and just think about how bad it went. And you know what kills me more than just the 4th play of the season 2 years ago? The fact that all we said all last year this time was, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, this team won 7 games last year without him. They're going to be so much better this year. There's no way. At the bare minimum, this is at least a 9-8 team. 10-7. And if I told you before the year started that Aaron Rodgers would start 17 games and would not miss one snap coming off an Achilles injury at age 39 going on 40, would not miss one snap due to injury in 17 weeks, and you had to put your life on it, are the Jets going to go 5-12 or 12-5? Which one? What would you have said? And that's what just kills me. Like, just everything that could go wrong went wrong. Woody pulling the plug on Saleh completely backfired. Just everything. The whole thing just stinks. And this fan base just deserves better. Gator with a super chat. Glenn was Neil and Rodgers was Neil's guinea pig. Rat Diddy. Jake, I'm still waiting on the damn Jake Woody interview. No chance with the Glenn regime. Oh, no shot. Yeah, I mean, Woody did say he'd come on the show when I point blank was talking to him at the Klecko Revis Hall of Fame ceremony. You forget that. Hennessy says, we kept giving Salah and Douglas chances, but not Glenn before his first season after he needs to clean up their mess. And did Rob have a convo with Sam? I don't know, Henny. You've asked me that now twice. I don't think it's the same thing. Comparing Sam Darnold to Aaron Rodgers to me is kind of silly, especially when the Jets had the, second pick in the draft that year? I mean, this year they're in no man's land to get a quarterback. And it's not a good quarterback class. Whereas in 2021, remember what the conversation was. One of the best quarterback classes we've ever seen. You get the generational Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. Not the same thing. But as far as the first point of your comment, I think every Jet fan should be giving Aaron Glenn a chance. What I'm telling you is this mentality or this persona that he has that fans are eating up right now, it doesn't work if they don't win. Like, every reason why you love Aaron Glenn right now will be things that you use against him if they don't win. And that's my fear, that this team's not going to be good this year. They got to get out to a good start. Comments, questions, super chats. Cut the line. Let's see. I think I am all caught up on super chats. Reminder, this show's available in audio form, Apple or Spotify. So search the Jake Asman Show, and you will find all the audio from the live YouTube show each and every day. Another reminder to get your ticket to our first ever Jake Asman Show NFL Draft Watch Party. It's going to be a great night. Had a great talk with the venue earlier. We're going to have an awesome setup for the Knick game being played that night on the projectors. And then when the draft really gets underway, the draft will take center stage with some TV still showing the Knicks. We'll have the sound on for the draft once the draft gets underway. Fireman Ed will be there. We'll have an Asmaniac raffle of all the prizes. There's going to be green beer. More on that coming up later this week. Jet fuel, 3 different types of green beer that you could choose which type you want. So I'm very excited for our party 1 week from today. All right, here we go. To your calls on the Gusbuster hotline. Jets Jesus is on the line. Jets Jesus, can you please ask the football gods 1 week from today to bless us with a tremendous draft?
Jake, I've been praying for that since the beginning of my life, dude. So that's how much pull I got. I'm in agreement with you, kind of with not the right way to handle the Rodgers situation. What I really think about is, and I also think this is kind of going to overlap a little bit in, the things that we like about the coach now, we're not going to like. If things don't go well, we're going to be complaining. I mean, we use examples of almost all the coaches except for Gase. I think most of us thought he was an idiot coming in, and I didn't really give him much benefit of the doubt because I knew he was an idiot. At the time, I had enough Dolphin friend fans at work and stuff that I was like, no. Anyway, so what this really makes me question is some of AG's leadership. And that's what's a little concerning to me. I'm still high on him and all that good stuff and whatever, but I've had enough leaders and bosses and head whatevers and, all that stuff, directors. And when the ego keeps you in the way of being able to find the best way to proceed and to be able to gather as much information as possible, it's a problem. And even if they came in knowing what they were going to do, and, this will contradict what they say a little bit, but you can spin it how you want to spin it to make it be what they want to say. And they decide that it's better to have a younger, quarterback in Fields with the upside, and there's more hope in the future, and and building their, whatever. Fine. And that's cool. It's kind of, what I think we're all hoping for. But at the same time, to not have somebody that's a source of information for a variety of ways that you've laid out, and I think we should all have been able to imagine, to not have that source in front of you and be able to have a conversation with them and get information out of them is a big mistake and a sign of poor leadership. And that's concerning to me.
It's great leadership if Glenn takes complete control and they get off to a great start. I mean, it could go both ways. I agree with you, though. Like, if you were going to move on from Aaron Rodgers, fine, but why not talk to the guy a little bit about the team? Like, one of the points Rodgers made that I agreed with during the interview today was, why not talk to me about what happened the last couple of years? Which players on the team you could see ascending into leadership roles. Like, this team's about to give $100 million each to Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. I'd talk with Aaron Rodgers about those guys who's been around Hall of Fame players in his own career about, hey, are they made of the right stuff? Should I be giving them the long-term extensions? What do they like? How do they train? Like, that's what I mean. It's like, you already made the decision. You're moving on from the guy. Fine. But, like, I don't know. I'd pick his brain. I think it was a missed opportunity.
Or members the number one player talked about in the draft to pick. Wouldn't you talk to Aaron Rodgers about the O-line and how that's going and how that communication is? I mean, yeah, there's plenty there. I'm not saying, and just to kind of, and you kind of said this just now, but I'll kind of dig into a little bit more of what I said. But I'm not saying it makes Glenn a poor leader. It is just a poor leadership quality to not have the foresight to do that. You made your decision in advance. That's totally fine. But, get the information there. But it doesn't make him a poor leader overall. It's just, missing that facet of it. Now, that said, maybe he learns from it. Maybe he doesn't, whatever it is. But he can still be a great coach, can still be a great leader, and all of those things. I don't totally lose faith in him. It's just something that makes me go like, I don't like that. I wish he would have handled that in a much smarter way.
Totally fair. Appreciate the call, Jets. Jesus. Bless us on Thursday. And then Friday and Saturday, too, because let's be real. Pick 42 and 73 are just as important as 7. I love reading the comments, how angry people are. I think I had a very nuanced take right down the middle on this, and I'm getting called a Rodgers glazer. Like, I didn't like what Aaron said about the play. Like, what I can't address every comment here. You're watching my show, all right? This is free. You don't have to. If you're very upset with my comments, there's like 13 other great Jet content creators out there. You can watch them instead. Ladies and gentlemen, Nate Nate is up next. Hello, Nate.
Jake, I'll be a man a few words today. I got to go. I know Rodgers did all the speaking today. Made me thinking that we'd have to undo this curse on our own. And I appreciate what you got me. It's sitting right here. So in the name of the Father, Joe Namath, the chosen son, our new coach, Aaron Glenn, the spirit of Aaron Rodgers must be incinerated. Oh, shit, I didn't know this was going to light on fire like this. Oh, shit. I'm going to get some water, Jake. What's done is done, including my lawn chair. Oh, shit. Actually, let that motherfucker burn for a second. That chair is cooked, though. Woo!
The
That's a New
FDNY
Jersey,
will
too.
be at Nate's apartment any moment.
We never wore that piece of shit. Never. Oh. Ooh, sizzling on the floor. We got the Plega House, the 20 Annie, that's gone too. Had the ashes with Wilson. All right, I'm gonna handle my business before, like you said, the mic comes.
Nate, thank you very much.
You get the fuck out.
Aaron Glenn to Aaron Rodgers when they met. Comments, questions, super chats. They always cut the line around here. Bo checks in with a $10 one. In order for me to digest the release of AR, I forced myself to view worst-case scenarios. AR going down 4 plays, age, even personality at times. We have young legs, no diva, and maybe a chance. Yeah, I mean, look, it could work with Fields, but if you ask me in a vacuum who's the better quarterback for a year, which is how I would view what Rodgers would be this year as the bridge, I still think he's better than Fields. I mean, I'm going to trust Mike Tomlin more than I'm going to trust the Jets. Tomlin wants him. He had Fields. They were willing to move on from him. I hope Fields is great. I just have my doubts. Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. more of your calls right now. Bijan is up next. Hello, Bijan. Bijan is not up next because he's frozen. So instead of Bijan, we go to Clifton. Hello, Kyle.
Bijan is buffering. It's okay. I don't think you're a Glazer, Jay, or otherwise. It's Rodgers kind of lost me today. He really did. We're not going to hear. I don't think we're going to hear Aaron Glenn's side of the story because I think he wants to take the oxygen out of it.
No, he's not gonna. When he's asked about it, he's gonna say, "I'm not talking about players that aren't on the team." That's it.
Right.
It's gonna be dead. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the last time we're talking about this today. It's over.
And it's probably the right thing to do.
It is. That's exactly what he should say. 100%.
Right. Now, is it possible that he came on too strong in the interaction? It's his first big major personnel decision, and it's really the first time the spotlight's on him as the head coach. He's trying to incorporate Texas high school football principles and, the Jersey Legends shadow that kind of hangs over him, and he's trying to prove he can be the man. It's entirely possible. Doesn't mean it wasn't the right thing to do. What is Rodgers doing is really my question, right? Like, he's trying to glean sympathy for some amorphous personal issues that may or may not be there, while he kind of wanes and waxes about joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. It does seem like he's kind of living up to that diva reputation a little bit.
Well, let me ask you this though: do you think he would be doing this kind of like, "Am I going to play? I'm not going to play" thing if the Jets had a different approach and they wanted him back? Because I don't. I think he would have been all in.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm finding it pretty hard to get a read on this guy, to be frank with you. Yes, I do think he wanted to be here, but his initial answer, and I know you kind of poo-pooed that, I'm interested, right? Like, maybe that's just showing an initial distrust in Muji and Glenn.
Well, remember what he said previously, though, Kyle? When asked about playing next year, he said the circumstances changed with a new regime coming in. I came to play for Saleh and Douglas. I would have to talk with them and be on board. So he thought he was having that conversation about whether or not they could coexist and be on board.
Okay, but Jay, he did say in his last stops that all he wanted was transparency and directness, right? And he kind of got that. He got that.
I don't think this was perfect on his end too. I mean, part of me goes, he's like, I flew out there and they told me to my face, they could have just done that over the phone. Part of me feels like Aaron would have been like, well, they couldn't even tell me to my face. They had to do that over the phone. So, like, I'm not saying Aaron's, blameless here, but I also don't think, I don't really care about Aaron Rodgers anymore, if that makes sense, because, the decision was already made before he walked into that meeting. My point is, I just don't think Glenn handled it great. I don't like not at least talking to the guy and getting a real feel for him first.
You're right. If he is a reliable narrator, you're absolutely correct. Right? That's the part we'll never know. And is Rodgers savvy enough to know that? He might be, right? Like part of his whole thing about coming here was his legacy was gonna be uplifting and pulling the Jets out of poverty. And now his last act is, believe it or not, to kick sand in Jet fans' faces. Like, he lost me a little bit today. I was frustrated by it.
Interesting.
Because I wanted him. I wanted to believe in him. I thought he had some stuff left. I thought that was a viable blueprint that Brady had given in Tampa Bay. If the quarterback was all bought in and the team was there around him, and it didn't pan out.
He got hurt. That changed everything.
He got hurt, and these guys should be able to bring in their own guys and follow their own blueprint. Like, I don't blame them for not wanting to go a year out and have this guy, hedging and hemming and hawing about retiring again. Like, that's no way to kind of go into developing and building a winner. So
here's the thing. I agree with that last part. And I said this at the time when we were debating if they should bring him back or not. If he was going to give you I'm not sure if I want to play, then if you move on, I get it, because they're trying to move on, not have Rodgers hang over the franchise and go forward. But I'm someone who believes if they came in with the mentality of we want him back, or they met, had a good conversation, they wanted to bring him back, and he reduces contract and lower the cap hit, all the things we talked about months ago already, then I think it made sense for him to come back, if that makes sense. If he's going to do what he's doing now with Pittsburgh to the Jets, then it wouldn't, obviously, but I don't foresee that being the case. That's my big thing. I think if they committed to him, he was ready to commit to them.
So This is where we differ, because I think that's a little bit of naivete. I think that they would go and move past him no matter what.
I agree.
Because,
But that's what I'm saying. The decision was already made to move on from him. That's why it's like like the details of this meeting. My issue is I don't think the decision should have been made till you at least had a real conversation with him and considered him as a legitimate option. They evaluated their quarterback options without even evaluating him as being one of them, and I think that's a mistake.
Okay, that's fair enough. I appreciate the time, Jake.
Kyle, appreciate you. Bijan is back. Hello, Bijan.
Hey, Jake, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Oh, we hear you.
All right. I think. Sorry, I was frozen because I think I saw that Zach put out an article. I'm not sure if it's about like specific instances about what happened, but kind of looks like more details about maybe what happened in the final days or in that final meeting. But I'm gonna probably be in the minority or more strongly opposed to just Aaron Rodgers in general. Like I was really tired of him by the time he was done in New York, and then this kind of for me reaffirms that notion of just like we needed to maybe not necessarily move on from the quarterback or the player, even though he was not great last year. But we needed to move on from the aura and the person and the kind of vibe that he's bringing. We don't need this distraction. And that's not to say that Aaron Glenn is going to be anything. Like you said, I completely agree. This bravado is great until you go 3-13 or 3-14 for 2 straight seasons. None of that matters. But I don't think we could win with a guy like Rodgers right now. I think people are severely underestimating this dude's personality, and I'm convinced like that kind of what Kyle was saying before. I'm not sure that those events are entirely accurate, or maybe what he said was entirely accurate. And I'm not entirely convinced that he wouldn't have held the Jets hostage or given or asked for certain demands, because that's been his MO pretty much every single stop he's had. In Green Bay, he wanted certain things. He wanted Gutekunst fired. In the Jets, he did have a list of guys he wanted, which, I mean, a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of players do, but like you see this trend with Rodgers, and it's never his fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Now, maybe he does have things going on with his personal life, but there's always an excuse as to why he's dragging this thing on and he's holding teams and making teams wait. I mean, even Art Rooney is frustrated where he's like, I would have hoped we would have had a deal by now.
You don't know that he would have dragged the Jets through this. I don't believe he would. I think he would have played and committed to them. He flew cross country to meet with them because he was interested in staying with them and playing for them.
Yeah, that whole thing also kind of bothers me that he's complaining about that when back in 2023, the entire Jets brass flew out to his home and like kissed the ring, of the king. And like, there's those pictures of Woody and Christopher going into his mansion and talking to him. It's like when the Bucks regime flew out to meet with Tom Brady, that's not the same thing. Listen, there is definitely some butt kissing happening with
they should have. Bijan, he's Aaron Rodgers. They needed a quarterback. They won 7 games with dog shit at the position a few years ago, and he was supposed to be the missing piece. You can't criticize the Rodgers for accepting a meeting with the Jets that they flew out to meet with them. That's silly.
No, I have no problem with that part of it. I have a part with him complaining then that he has to fly to see them. Like, didn't acknowledge the first part. He didn't acknowledge that they went and did that for him, and then he complains when he has to go and visit Glenn. They did not have to fly out to him. They chose to. They wanted to recruit him. I just get the sense with him that he wants teams to. This may be incorrect, and we'll see what transpires in the future here with what's being said, but I feel like he wants teams to grovel at his feet because he's Aaron Rodgers, like more so than even Brady. And there is a chance that he would have held the Jets hostage, like he's kind of doing with the Steelers. I know he says
you don't know that though. So let's talk in reality of facts here. Do you agree that they already made this decision to move on from him before this meeting was even set in stone?
It was a predetermined, like, we know how he's going to.
Right.
Yeah.
So who cares? Then who cares about the rest? That's it. Who cares about the rest?
I hear you, Jake. I hear you.
I think it was a mistake to have a predetermined opinion to move on from the guy before you even sit down and talk with him.
I don't know what the answer was, but him saying like, "Oh, I'm interested," I guarantee you, it's probably not as simple as that. I just wonder if, because the way he usually answers things is like, "Oh, I want to sit down and see what happens," and they didn't want to deal with that. They wanted somebody who was in there, who wanted to be a part of this situation.
They never spoke with him. All he said afterwards is, if the new regime wants to have me back, if I play, I would play for the Jets. And previously he had said he planned on playing for the Jets and giving them 2 good years. And then when was asked about that, said he's not sure now because it's going to depend on the coach and the new GM and if they hit it off and then if they want him. These are all things he has said. He doesn't say anything different there. I don't think he's wrong for feeling like, why did I fly out there if they're just going to fire me? I don't think he's wrong to feel that way. I also understand those saying, well, if they just told him on the phone, he probably would complain that they didn't have the decency to do it face to face. That's why it's like that. Like, what are we arguing about? My issue is where we disagree is you're cool with them just moving on and not giving him the chance to actually meet with Aaron Glenn. And maybe, in my opinion, best case scenario, they work something out where he's back, Devontae's back, and they can be competitive and a much better team with him at quarterback, in my opinion, than what the alternative now is with Fields. You think it was the right move to move on. So we could debate what actually happened in this meeting. My entire point is, who cares? Their decision, you said it yourself, and I agree with you. It was already made before this meeting. So it is what it is. To me, it's just sad that this is how it ends.
It is sad, and I think honestly I was ready to move on from it too. I just wish it wasn't brought up again, and now we're debating the minutia of how this went about. I think we probably all assumed that it was predetermined. And
I think is a mistake. I don't think that's a good way to run your franchise. Like I think you should have the conversation with the guy.
I just wonder.
Mike Tomlin wants him, Bijan. It doesn't alarm you that one of the best coaches in the league is trying to sign Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, that is a fair point. If he wants him, and that is obviously Mike Tomlin.
And we had Justin Fields, who's now our quarterback. They had him and benched him at 4-2.
Yeah, these are all concerns. I mean, Fields is more of a flyer than anything, and because who knows? You have no idea what he's going to be. So
I hope he's great, but that's kind of my point. Like the people that wanted Rodgers gone, you got your wish. There was no chance he was ever coming back. The people that wanted him back for a year, accepted. It is what it is. And now we hope that they made the right decision. But the semantics of the meeting and who looks good, who doesn't, like I don't think Rodgers looks great with some aspects of it. I don't think the Jets and Aaron Glenn in particular look great with how this was handled. And I think it's telling that Muji and Chris Johnson apparently called him after the meeting with Glenn because, like, if you're going to call the guy after that meeting, obviously you didn't like the way it went. If you're going to then reach out afterwards. But what does it matter? Aaron Glenn made the decision to move on from Aaron Rodgers. He'll be fired too in 2 years if he doesn't get a quarterback and they win games.
Yeah, he's got to get either Fields has to be the guy or they got to get someone in 26 for sure.
That's it.
Just my opinion. I don't think for me, Rodgers as a quarterback, as a thrower of the football, maybe before 2024, second best quarterback I've ever seen talent wise. And I feel like there has to be a reason why he's only won one Super Bowl. I know that's a controversial take. I know he has tons of MVPs. I know he's one of the greatest ever to do it. But I feel like a lot of that personality stuff that we heard in Green Bay, that we heard a little bit in New York, maybe we'll hear more, is maybe sort of the reason why he couldn't get past one ring.
Or how about this for a concept? His defense with the Packers allowed 35 points per game in playoff games. That might have had something to do with it. What was his record again before this year? Before the Jets were the Jets? When the defense allowed 20 points or less? 81 and 20? You know. But it's over. I don't need to relitigate the career of Rodgers anymore. It's over. And once again, that's really my point. Like, we could debate who's right or wrong for how it was handled in the meeting. I think if you use common sense, You know the decision was already made before the meeting because they didn't give him a chance to talk in the meeting. The meeting was 15 minutes. So if you were going to go into it with an open mind to determine whether or not he could be your quarterback for 1 year, you wouldn't have been able to come to that massive determination in 15 minutes. Or after Aaron Glenn says, are you interested in playing football? And he says, yes, I'm interested. And then he gets up, brings Muji back, and Muji says, we're moving on. What do you want the messaging to be? That's my point. They have every right to move on. I personally wouldn't have. I would have tried to make it work for a year. If he gave me the, I'm not sure if I'm going to play, I would have moved on then. I don't think he would have done that. I think this is a guy that was trying to be here and wanted to be here. I think his words have been pretty consistent with that if you go back to his press conferences in November and December. Omari, Glenn, all eyes are on you. 100%. Rick Kent in the house. A 5 spot from Rick Kent.
You get the fuck out.
That's what Aaron Glenn said to Aaron Rodgers. Here we go. 5 from Rick. If you hear your name called, you're a channel member. There's 500 of you in here watching the show live. Welcome back. Hit the like button if you haven't. Helps our channel grow, and come to our draft party and come party with us in person. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. And who knows what's going to happen. Judah, Call It Out, Tyler Raines, David Hall, and Dirty Ray Gun, all receiving channel memberships there from the Rick Kent. But wait, there's more. 10 raffle entries are coming through. From who else other than our guy, Bo?
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
The prizes this week are pretty awesome. Ken O'Brien signed jersey. Al Toon signed helmet. Keyshawn Johnson signed helmet. Sauce Gardner signed jersey. And a Darrell Rivas signed photo. If you gift the membership, you're in. $20 super chat will also get you in for 10. We got 10 names to read off here. Mikey Boy Jets. Taj 4K. Timothy Moore. Ness the Great. CCAP. Toxic Spectre. Hold the Onions. Joe Frisco. Derek Gallo. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, more of your calls. We go. Appreciate everyone tuning in here. Whether we agree or disagree, we all love the Jets and hope for once they're not terrible. Before we get back to your calls, Mock with a super chat comparing the Steelers to the Jets is disingenuous. Steelers coach is solidified and can possibly take on a character like Rodgers. Glenn is smart enough and saw one full season of Rodgers here. If Aaron Glenn is such a great coach, then he should be able to take on Aaron Rodgers too, is my point. I don't buy that. I don't think comparing it is disingenuous at all. Actually, I don't. I saw a comment from Emmanuel. Steelers begged Fields to resign. No, they didn't. I heard the Steelers' offer to Fields was around $20 million or so, partially guaranteed. The Jets gave him $40 million over 2 with 30 of it guaranteed. You don't know what you're talking about. Darth Crypto in the raffle for 1. Thank you very much, Darth Crypto. Gary up next. What's up, Gary?
This is not a great sign for me. This is the first situation that Glenn and Mucci had to handle, and they completely fumbled it. Right? I don't understand you people. So I agree. We all agree. The decision was already made. It didn't matter what Rodgers said. So they were already firing him. Why don't you FaceTime and say, hey, Aaron, we're going to move on. Do you want to come in and talk about it, or do you want us just to move on? It's up to you. This just makes him look socially retarded. Who would like to...
Calm down.
Who would like this, right? Okay. Fly in across the country. I want to talk to you. Here, sit down. You're fired, right? Why didn't you just FaceTime me? If you wanted to look me in the face, why didn't you just FaceTime me? We could have had this over. I didn't have to fly all the way in.
To be fair, you don't think Rodgers, though, knowing him, would have been like, well, they didn't even have the decency to do this in person?
Okay, you can come in. You want to talk about it? We can come in. I'll talk to you about it. I got an hour. But we've already made our decision.
That's my issue with it. So I agree with you there. My issue is there was never a scenario where he could have came back, and I think that's a mistake. Even if you decided to move on, my big thing was I have the conversation. Figure it out. They evaluated their best options without actually considering their best option is on the team right now. Can we figure out a way to make it work? If they determine no, then you move on. But have a real conversation with them first is my point.
My concern here is that this looks like I heard JJ Redick and Gilbert Arenas all talk about this with Stan Van Gundy. Really smart guy, really good with X's and O's, zero people skills. Everyone dislikes him with Stan Van Gundy. Is this what we're looking at? Smart guy, great X's and O's, can't deal with people at all. This is one. I'm not painting him with that brush. This is just one specific example, but it's the only one we have to go by now. It's his first big situation, and he handled it like this. Like that is the worst possible. I'm not even a Rodgers truther. I'm not a Rodgers. I mean, I would have brought him back, but I'm not a Rodgers apologist.
I don't think it's a great look. I think Aaron Glenn's acting like he's won in this league and he hasn't. And I think it's risky. Like he's saying all this stuff, and the way he's acting is very like, I'm an alpha. I do this, but it's like you haven't done it yet, man. You know what I mean? Like I think there's some risk in that. I think if they get off to a bad start, the fan base that's in love with him right now because of this, and he's a former Jet, like that rubs off real fast if you start losing.
And as far as Rodgers, the conversation went like this: are you interested in playing football? Yes, I'm interested in playing football. Oh, okay. He must not be interested in playing football. It's like, what did you want him to say? Was asked if he wanted to play football. He said he was interested in playing football. What else could he have said? No, I'm not interested. I don't understand. Like what? Again, and there's three sides to every story. I'm sure if you asked Glenn or Muji, you'd get a slightly different version of this, right?
They're moving on. They were moving on. There was no like the semantics of the meeting. To me, like that's what people want to talk about. I get it, but would you agree? Would you agree with what I asked the last caller? Their decision to move on from Aaron Rodgers was made before he ever stepped foot in that facility to talk.
Clearly, 100% it was made.
So then,
right?
And then it's like that to me is the bigger issue than like what Glenn said to him in this meeting. I do agree. It's like you take a note of it and you're like, like because that's great when you're undefeated as a Jet head coach. Aaron Glenn's never lost a game right now as a head coach, right? So
yeah,
he's Teflon right now. If they start 0-3 or 1-4. Right, they get their ass kicked by Buffalo in September next year at MetLife, and there's booze raining down. What do you think the conversation around Aaron Glenn's going to be then? No one's going to care that he used to play for the Jets and was an awesome football player.
To me, it's just a poor look, and it's a organization that's been run by unprofessionalism, and this to me looks completely unprofessional. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a bad head coach. This was one instance. I'm just saying to get off on this start, handling it the worst possible way that you could handle it. I mean, it's like not this again. Like not this again. Is Aaron Glenn going to be a disaster of a head coach that no one likes and no one wants to play for? Because off of the one experience, that's what it looks like to me. So I can't even imagine who thought that was a good idea. Let's have Rodgers fly himself in, and as soon as he steps in the meeting, I'm going to go grab Muji and we're going to tell him he's fired. Like, why would you? I mean, I don't know if anyone in the crowd's ever been fired. Like, there's no good way to do it. But there's a professional way. I've been fired too, right? My first ever job in boxing with Lou DiBella, when I left that job, he said, okay, Gary, I'm going to tell you something, and this isn't insulting. Whoever you go work for next is going to fire you. Right? I was like, no, he was right. He said within a year. It was like 18 months, but he was right. Okay, like it happens, right? It's never a good experience to be fired.
Which is why, like, I understand
a professional way to handle it. There's a professional way to handle it.
I agree. I think ultimately, though, like, once again, like Aaron Glenn, whether or not he's a good head coach or not, I don't think it's I don't think this will have a correlation to that. I think it just kind of it encapsulates what I've been saying, or accentuates, I guess is the word I'm looking for, of what I've been saying, that like we all love it now, like the no nonsense and how he's pushed back on some of these questions and the media opportunities he's had at the press conference. And like, that's all great when you win. Like, hopefully it leads to winning, but Andy Reid is a jolly-go-lucky coach. He wins. Bill Belichick won 6 Super Bowls being all rough and gruff and, not playing any games whatsoever with the media or his players. For like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to win, man. Like, we'll find out if Aaron Glenn hired a good coaching staff, if he can unlock Justin Fields like he's talked about being the guy to do it. Like, that's it. Like, that's what I think it comes down to.
Yeah, my biggest concern is that, like I said about Stan Van Gundy, it's going to be the same thing. Great X's and O's, brilliant football mind, brilliant mind for the sport, no ability to handle people, none. Right? Like that's my concern. That's my takeaway from this. Hopefully it's not that. Hopefully this is just a one-off and things are handled better down the road.
Agreed. Now let me ask you this, Gary. How many wins right now, 2025 New York Jets?
All right. So I wanted to bring Rodgers back. If you would have said to me, you're not getting Rodgers, what one mid-quarterback would you want? I would have taken Fields. That would have been my first pick. We got that. I'm going to be optimistic. And this isn't going to sound overly optimistic, but it's going to be somewhat optimistic. 8 and 9. The meaningful season. We have meaningful games in December. The season's not over by Halloween. 8 and 9. I think that's reasonable.
All right. Who eats? Do the Jets have more wins this year than Beast Breaker eats sandwiches on his greatest day?
No, he's had more than 8 sandwiches in a day for sure.
You think so?
Oh, for sure, yeah. 8's a lot, but it's not like an insurmountable. He's had 9 sandwiches in a day for sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Gary.
Chicken with pasta is worse than peanut butter with sandwich.
Oh, man, we haven't had a membership explosion like this in a long time. You kidding me? Bo C back in the Asmaniac raffle. He is putting up another 10 memberships for everyone out there. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. You got a good chance of getting one today.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, baby.
10 from Bo, Dante, Christopher Byers, Infamous Julian, Alan Sucks, Dan Rather, Alan Stinks, Tiff, Sean Mahoney, Source Gardner, Jack Needham, Willis Cunningham, Gahermi Gorel Martin, all receiving channel memberships there from Bo C. Mother Effin' Chew has gifted a channel membership I'm seeing. Hold on. I missed. That was actually the second or third 10 spot from Bo. Wow. We got more from Bo. I got to scroll up here. I want to make sure we shout out everyone who got a membership. It's not even showing me who got the Mike D's Nuts membership. So I don't know who got it from Mike, but I do know this. When Mike D's Nuts gives a membership on this show, we pay homage to that man the only appropriate way that any of us around here know how. D's Nuts. Yeah. Late night in the raffle for 5 as well. Let's go.
You know, thinking is overrated.
Not showing me who got those. Mother Effin' Chew with a super chat. I agree with Gary. This reeks of dysfunction. Neil checks in. What a disaster. No respect to a Hall of Fame quarterback that flew across the country here 10 minutes in to be told we're moving on. What a bleep show this franchise is. Bunch of losers. Better win. Mike D's not stand if you do, damned if you don't. And that's part of my thinking too. I happen to think if they told Rodgers over the phone, he'd say, well, you didn't have the decency to tell me in person. So I think that's fair. I don't really have a problem with anything else Rodgers said. I think the mistake that Aaron Glenn made, I think he should have had a real conversation with him. But because he didn't and this got out, it just confirmed what I already knew. Like, they didn't even consider him as an option. He was never coming back. There was no scenario he was the Jet quarterback in 2025. Mock, Rodgers showed poor leadership on the field and players fouled. Go ask Jamian Sherwood 3 days ago about Aaron Rodgers. Please. Don't believe this. You really think that Rodgers' leadership was bad? They love the guy. Why do you think Aaron Glenn had to address the fact that there were several players publicly upset that they were moving on from the guy? You could say, hey, it was the right move to move on from Rodgers. He's older. New regime wants to start over. But don't give me the, oh, his leadership was poor or that nonsense, please. I'm not going to listen to that. You could sell me on moving on from Rodgers. I'll listen. There's a real argument for it. Part of my reason for wanting him back for a year is we wouldn't have this gaping hole at wide receiver right now. We wouldn't. You don't think Tanner Engstrand can find great ways to use Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams? I do. Have you seen what the Lions have done offensively? Because they have a lot of weapons. Right now, the Jets have one receiver. I think they have a good running back in Breece Hall. Or we'll see. And then what? No, we don't have a tight end right now. We don't have a right tackle right now. That's why this draft on Thursday is so important. Let's see. More of your calls right now. A bunch of you on the line. I'll try to get to as many as we can without having to do a 7-hour show. Chris G's up next. What's up, Chris?
What's up, Jake?
Chris, what do you got for us, man? Appreciate you.
The Rodgers haters are obviously out today. You know, people who point to the last 2 years and say Rodgers is at fault for the failure of the Rodgers tenure, you know, I think that's just crazy. You look at the first year, you know, obviously it ended 4 plays in. And year 2, the coaching was horrible. And, you know, an argument I typically make is he was playing hurt. Good coaching would have benched him after, you say, the Vikings game where you know, he messed up his hamstring, messed up his ankle. I know he was banged up after the Broncos game as well. But the one argument you could sell me on for moving on from Rodgers is that they didn't want him to be the face of the franchise anymore. And they wanted to show that, you know, ultimately no one was above Aaron Glenn. And I think that's why they did move on from him. Because, you know, you hear Rodgers describing, you know, I think he said it was either Glenn or Muji, but he said someone told them, if I'm standing at the front of the room and giving out orders and talking to people, I don't want them to look back at you. So that just proves to me that, you know, they got rid of him because they didn't really want him to, you know, they wanted to show no one was above Glenn. They wanted to show that, you know, he didn't want Rodgers to be the face of the franchise.
I think they wanted to move on from like Rodgers' presence and the aura of like everywhere you go, it's him. But and like that's fine, but like Rodgers being like to Glenn, like, why are you assuming I would undermine you in a meeting? And Glenn being like, well, you don't know me. And Rodgers is right. You don't know me either. That's the whole point. Have the conversation.
100%. I mean, I think Rodgers was screwed by the Jets. They should have at least talked to him and then, you know, making him fly all the way across the country and just to tell him, no, we're moving on. Not even.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look. Now, I think no matter what, the Jets were going to get criticized by Rodgers there because I think if they told him over the phone, he would have said you didn't have the decency to do this in person. But like, to me, it's a no-win situation there for the Jets. I'm like, whatever. My bigger issue, Chris, is I do not like the fact this decision was made before they even met with him. Like, their meeting with him was BS. That's my problem with it. You can move on from him. No issue. Talk to him. Talk to the guy. And once again, even if you're going to move on from the guy, you're about to give $200 million combined to Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. You wouldn't want to talk to Aaron Rodgers about those guys? Hey, are they made of the right stuff? Are they deserving of these contracts? How are they going to be once they get rewarded? Are they ready to take a step and be leaders on the team now going forward? Like, there's value in that. Even if you're moving on from Rodgers, like that to me is just silly to not have that conversation. The Jets are the same organization that interviewed 50 bazillion candidates. They interviewed Beastbreaker for the opening, but you only have 15 minutes to talk to a guy who took a $35 million pay cut the second he joined your organization, which before Jalen Brunson did anything in the NBA was the largest pay cut in professional sports history. Like, come on, people. We don't need to paint Aaron Rodgers on the way out like he's just some boogeyman. Like, he wanted to stay, he wanted to be here. They didn't give him a chance to even make his case. They just fired him on the spot. At least have the conversation with the guy is my point.
I agree with you 100%. You know, people calling him a diva. You see my head plate. You know, Rodgers said he'd play for 10 mil. That's not a diva. And the people who say they wanted to get rid of Rodgers are all about all the culture. The best way to start the culture is to start off your regime by winning. And then I think Rodgers gives you the best chance to do that. So if Glenn goes out and wins 4 or 5, God forbid, 3 games this season, you know, I'm gonna have question marks for him going to year 2. I mean, with all his talent on this team, is he really a good coach if he's winning 4 or 5 games right now, even with all the talent we do have? I mean, God forbid if Fields sucks really bad, you can put Tyrod in and you can have a 7 or 8 win season. So if we suck this year, I'm really concerned with Glenn as a coach.
I hope they go out there, Chris, and have a winning season. We'll see. I think their best chance to having a winning season would have been with Rodgers for 1 more year. So we'll see. He's not going to get fired if they win 4 or 5 games, but the love affair will be over very quickly. And I hope the love affair never leaves. I hope Aaron Glenn has a Rex Ryan year 1 or Mangini year 1. I really do. I have doubts. We got a lot of RDS in the chat right now, like this one from Emmanuel. Woody said we need a quarterback, so we decimated our defense to sign Rodgers and friends for a complete flop. You don't know anything about ball, Emmanuel. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. You want to blame someone for decimating the defense? Blame Joe Douglas for letting Bryce Huff go for nothing, trading John Franklin Myers for a bag of used footballs and a sandwich that Beastbreaker half ate. Do I need to keep going? How's Hassan Reddick doing, Emmanuel? How's that move looking? Oh, what happened to Quentin Jefferson? We let him go for nothing too? Michael Clemens is leading the Jets in defensive end snaps? We're going to blame Rodgers for that one? You are out of your mother effing mind if you want to try and put the Jets defense completely falling apart on Rodgers. You have a severe case of Rodgers derangement syndrome. Oh, my God. This comment is so stupid, your day is done. Now look what you've done. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. You understand me? You catch my drift? Give him another 24 hours to think about it. We're blaming Rodgers for the defense falling apart. That's a new one. God, man, I can't. We're blaming Rodgers for Hassan Reddick? Michael Clemens? Please. I can't, man. The Jets, how many times did they have the lead late and they lost because of the defense collapsing or the kicker? And that's not to say Rodgers is blameless here. He sucked in some big moments too. Collectively, it was a collective suck, though. That's my point. Like, it's just how this guy gets pinned for everything is crazy to me. They're 28 touchdowns. They had the lead late against New England. Drove them down the field, had the lead. Touchdown. Indy put up 27 that day. Lost. Anthony Richardson ripped our hearts out at the end. Miami, they're up 8, and the defense allows Tua to go down the field, score a touchdown, score on the 2-point conversion. Rodgers threw for 330 that day and multiple touchdowns. The game goes to overtime. Jets lose the coin toss. They never got the ball back because the defense sucked. That's 3 games right there. Denver could have been bailed out if Zerline was Zerline the last 2 years. Once again, I'm not sitting here telling you Rodgers was great. He wasn't. He was probably about a league average quarterback last year, which is better than anything we've seen in the decade. With the worst collection of coaching I've ever seen. And then they say, oh, Rodgers never took blame. Did you ever listen to a press conference of his? The Jets led the NFL in defensive penalties. That's on Aaron Rodgers, too. Last I checked, he's on offense. Like, I hate even just relitigating last year. It's a nightmare. Can we just move on? That's why I'm so glad it's the last time I got to argue with Rodgers derangement people. He's gone. It is what it is. My criticism of Aaron Glenn is I would have had a real meeting with him when you met with him. But the bottom line is it's not even really a criticism of Aaron Glenn because the decision was already made. They were moving on before he even stepped foot in the building that day. So there was nothing that could have happened that day that would have changed anyone's mind. I just think you had a chance to pick his brain. You should have done it, but whatever. We picked the brain of Mike Loxley during the interview process. Remember that? The Maryland coach. He got a head coaching interview, but we couldn't interview Mike McCarthy, Pete Carroll, or John Gruden. Remember that. We're going to talk to all these people, but we can't interview those guys. So to me, it's just like, it's hypocritical, but whatever. Decision was made. PBM, you're up next. What's up, Mike?
I'm mad for the same reason that you're mad. It's not that we decided to move on. It's not that he flew out there or whatever. It's the fact that he had the decision was made and he couldn't even change their mind. So, like, what was the purpose?
The purpose was the messaging. Stupid. Well, because they were hoping. Here's what they were hoping, right? Here's the reality. They wanted him to say, I'm retiring. And if he had said that, they were going to let him announce it. So once it was clear, they asked him, are you playing football? Because they wanted to know if he says, I'm going to hang it up, they would let him announce it on his own terms. So the Jets wouldn't be painted as the bad guy by some in the fan base for moving on from him. It would have been, he's retiring anyway. They had to move on. But it became clear he wasn't going to do that. And then once that happened, it was all about, well, how would you like us to announce this? And he was like, I don't care. So then he called Jay Glazer up and told him. And that's why he got out on Super Bowl Sunday. It's exactly what happened.
And that's the reason why the Jets are a fucking clown show. Because of shit like this. We can't get out of our own way. And it's not that anyone is rooting for Rodgers over the Jets. We're Jets fans. We're going to root for the Jets. It's just the fact how it happened. It sucks, and it makes us look like fucking idiots.
Unless they got it right with Fields, and Glenn's a great coach. Like that's it.
I hope that's the case, but you're handling a Hall of Fame quarterback, if that's how it went down, like a bag of chips.
Yeah,
that's what it's like. And then other teams and other players are going to see that. Look at this fucking act. And it's more shit for people to talk about Woody sucking. And I'm tired of hearing all of that, but we can't not hear that because there's reasons for us to keep hearing it. And it's frustrating. Like, that's the reason why we're all mad. I'm not mad because Rodgers is gone. I wanted him to stay, but he left. Whatever. I moved on. It's the fact that now we're treating him like shit, and everyone else sees that. That's the point. Like, come on, guys. Like, it's frustrating as all hell.
I feel you, Mike. I mean, it is what I moved on. That's it. It's the last time we're talking about this. And I'm thrilled that it is because I can't do it anymore. Ryan with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you to everyone who sent in a super chat today or the memberships. Truly goes a long way. This fan base is incredible. Got 500 people in here watching. Drafts in a week. Get your draft ticket if you haven't. Maybe some of you have been checked out. Fireman Ed's coming to our draft party next week. Let me just read off real quick and then I'll get to Ryan's super chat here. The list of prizes because I keep adding more every day. Sauce Gardner signed jersey. These are all going to be, if you buy a draft ticket, you're entered automatically. You don't have to do anything. You're in the raffle if you bought a ticket. Joe Klecko signed jersey. Jermaine Johnson signed jersey. Nick Mangold signed jersey. Signed Garrett Wilson photo. Signed Wesley Walker photo. Signed Breece Hall trading card. Signed Aaron Glenn trading a card. I'm giving away that night an Aaron Glenn jersey, a Justin Fields jersey, a signed Emerson Boozer helmet, 4-pack of tickets to a Yankee game, and multiple chances to win tickets to a Jet home game. That enough prizes for you? Buy your ticket. We have green beer being served, specialty cocktails, the draft on with the sound in the bar. The Knicks are playing a playoff game that night. The Knicks will be on several of the TVs, and the sound will be on for the Knicks before the draft starts, assuming the Knicks are at 7 and the draft wouldn't start till after 8. So click the link in the description. In fact, I want to make it easy for everyone out there watching live. Some of you, I know, are just lazy. You don't want to click a link in the description. Check the live chat right now. Boom. It is there for you. Buy your ticket and help support the show, and we'll sell out. I think I checked before this. We had about 40 tickets or so left. All right. Got the PSA out of the way. Ryan now says, Woody and the Jets organization don't deserve our defending. At the same time, I wish Rodgers was more professional when talking about us, and I'm tired of his drama. Either way, bought a draft party ticket. Go Jets. Ryan, see you in a week. It is what it is. Mimosa in the house. $20 super chat. I have nothing to add, Jake. You know my feelings about 8, but it's over. So let's just win with what we have. Go Jets. That's it. We're all Jet fans, right? I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan because he was a Jet. I wish him well. I have no ill will towards him. I hope Justin Fields is great. That's my mentality now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear from someone who can provide the passion that we need. It's time to say hello to the King.
Jake, my brother, it's always good to see you, my brother. I'm gonna try not to get too loud because I don't want to get too pissed off. But let me just say this, man. Hey, shout out to Gator again for the intro, man. Much love to you, man. Shout out to all the Asmaniacs. This really disturbs me, man. Okay, but let this be a lesson to all the people out there. Okay, employers don't owe you shit. Okay, at the end of the day, they don't owe you a damn thing. All right, a 4-time MVP, a Super Bowl champion. All right, he couldn't even get a conversation. Okay, and let me just say this, man. All right, now from the beginning, I said, hey, yo, it's all about this coaching staff at the end of the day. We could talk about this draft all day. We could talk about all of these weapons and all of what we need. But at the end of the day, it's all about this damn coaching staff. Okay, and already this coaching staff acting like they won something. Okay, son, at the end of the day, Muji and AG, y'all ain't won a fucking thing. Okay, who the hell are you? Who the fuck are you to not give that man a damn conversation? Okay, at the end of the day, man, y'all ain't won a damn thing. And y'all better hope this crap work out. Okay, because ain't nobody got faced in this junk for real at the end of the day anyway. Okay, let's be real. All right, that man deserved a conversation. All right, he deserved a damn conversation. And I know a lot of y'all got me on mute, but it's all good, baby. Because at the end of the day, man, we ain't gonna act like a 4-time MVP Super Bowl champion didn't deserve a damn conversation. Who the hell are you to not give the damn man a conversation? Y'all ain't won shit. Okay? That's a damn shame, man. And it's a damn reflection on the damn organization. It's disgusting. At the end of the day, man, y'all got to get that together, man. Okay? Because y'all sending bad messages to these players that they don't deserve a conversation. That y'all don't want to talk to them. Like you got some Bill Belichick type attitude. So you ain't got no damn rings? What the hell are we talking about? Get your head out your ass and get that damn game plan together and win some damn games. Come on, man. What are we talking about, man? Just.
He's the king.
King Lowski, everybody. Glad we could debut that intro on a grand stage. Mock says, I saw Olu and AVT. They said they loved him, but throwing his head and hands up all day, sitting with Tyrod while losing and showing excitement only when they scored. That's poor quarterback leadership. I'm not addressing this. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Only showing excitement when they scored. I'm not taking the bait. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Helps pay the bills. Rich, you're up next. Hello, Rich.
Hey, good job not taking that bait. That was ridiculous. You know, Jake, this is a psychiatric call. Yeah, I wasn't going to call in, but I resonated with your opening. This is my 62nd year. I'll be going into being a Jet fan. And I felt like what you said the last year, something's left. It's I'm hopeful of getting it back, and I want them to win, but there's something left. And I think it's resonate. They could have flown out to him, after the pay cut he took and all that shit, and they could have gotten on a Woody could have fueled his plane.
Woody probably wasn't even there. I'm sure Woody didn't even have the decency to be there.
No, I know. Yeah. And the other thing, I'm sick and tired. What also got me down on the franchise is, as a parent, was seeing that little pissant in the luxury suite with his hands raised, yelling at Woody, and Woody's looking at him going, my kid does that to me in a luxury suite.
Hold on, real quick. JD, stop with the pay cut nonsense. All players do that. No, they don't, JD. He took the largest pay cut in professional sports history. In the history of the NFL, there has never been an athlete that took $35 million less. You could criticize Rodgers. I know you wanted him gone. That's fine, JD. You're entitled to that opinion. There's an argument for it. But don't try and discredit how committed this guy was to being a Jet. It was all about the right thing. It was here for the right reasons and tried. He unfortunately got hurt. But I'm not going to now try and downplay a historic pay cut that no one has ever done in the history of the NFL. So please, sorry, continue, Rich.
It was a 3-day story on ESPN, for God's sakes. Yeah, I mean, it was huge. I mean, that's it. Man. This is part of my problem. I mean, they're just...
That's RDS. There's Rodgers derangement syndrome everywhere.
Yeah.
He's saying every top quarterback did that. No, name me. Name me the ones that took $35 million. Josh Allen just signed for how much money? Please. Patrick Mahomes redid his deal once everyone else started getting paid. What did Tua take less? What did Trevor Lawrence take less? They've accomplished nothing in the NFL.
You know me, I'm an X and O's caller. Would I have brought that up unless I thought it was relevant? I mean, that was a huge thing. That's why I said that Woody could have put some freaking money in the Jet and gone out there for what he did, how much he saved for him, for
He
God's
likes
sake.
Christopher Johnson. That's clear. Him and Christopher Johnson clearly
Yeah,
have a good thing going.
Yeah, but you ask any dad, you know, what they would do if they were treated like that. I mean, that just tells me something about the guy, that he sit there and took it like, this little shithead, belittling his father, and I saw it going. It was both years. Rodgers, when Rodgers went down, there was a couple games when Zach was in there. Sure, he was pissed off, but you just don't do that. I mean, you're dad, and, you wouldn't, he'd probably, put you in your place if you did that when you were a kid in front of a room with 20 people, But I'm hopeful, but the hopium is kind of like waning. I'll be rooting for weekly improvement. Again, Woody said that he was gone. Glenn was the messenger. Didn't know how to handle it as the new guy. Absolutely should have shown respect and gotten information. The information they could have got on some of these players up for is invaluable. I mean, this is a quarterback. I mean, that's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Why the hell do you not pick his brain? Why the hell do you not bring him back for a year as a bridge? But why do you not pick his brain? And I'm just, I'm just down. With all the shit going on with the fans, the owner, it's just, and like I said, it's 62 years for me.
I wish I could tell you it gets better, but you've seen 62 years of mostly bad,
Yeah, my memory of my dad, who died young, but he died 6 years later after the Super Bowl. But I got lucky enough as a 16-year-old to watch the Super Bowl with my dad. That's my zenith of Jet fandom. But
that's been my dream from the beginning. And
I'll end the call by just saying my second zenith is other than going to games with my boys, is you and your show, which is I can't believe you do so many shows, and it does keep me. I would have given up if it weren't for your show, because of the content, great guests, and I just want to thank you for that, and let you go on. You said you have a lot of callers, but I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Rich, and that means a lot. And I'll continue to say it. Whether you agree with my opinions or not on the Jets, they're my opinions. They're real. I don't say things for clicks. I think that's why people like the show. It's authentic. It's for the fans, by the fans. And this is the best fan base in sports. Don't have our own stadium. How bad it's been. Constantly in the news for the wrong things. Constantly attacked. Oftentimes unfairly by those in the media, because it's easy. No such thing as a bandwagon Jet fan. Indy Jets with a super chat. He's in the raffle for 5 with this. Thank you, Indy. They had the conversations needed. Do you want to play football? His answer was, well, I'm interested. AG could have been looking for enthusiasm. Look, people can agree or disagree with this. I'm sorry, Indy. If you think that Rodgers saying, well, I'm interested, made Aaron Glenn in that moment decide, that's it, I'm not going to continue the meeting. I'm not going to at least hear it out and get to know the guy a little bit more before I determine I'm moving on. If you think that answer is what did it and not what actually happened, that it was already predetermined they were moving on and they brought him in to see if he wanted to play football, because if he said, no, I'm going to retire, they were going to let him announce it on his own terms. That's all the meeting was for. The meeting was not to see if he could play for the Jets, which they led Rodgers believe that's what the meeting was going to be about and why he was flying in to meet with them. The meeting was, hey, are you going to retire? If so, we'll let you announce it, because then we're off the hook. We don't have to put out a statement, we're moving on from you. We don't need to split our fan base in half, with half saying bring him back, half saying move on. We don't need to do it. He's retired. He took it out of our hands. We'll never know. That's what that was. It wasn't, oh, we're going to. Aaron Glenn in that moment had conviction because Aaron Rodgers said, well, I'm interested. He wasn't, yes, coach. I'm in, coach. Yeah. I mean, look, Aaron Glenn was a really good player. He was a good defensive coordinator. He hasn't proven shit as a head coach. So it's much about Aaron Rodgers deciding if he wants to play for him as it is if the Jets want Rodgers back. That's why you have the conversation and talk it out. They already determined, though, before that conversation was going to happen, they were moving on, which is their right to do. But Aaron Glenn better find a quarterback, and I hope it's Fields. But if it's not, then what? If he can't get his quarterback, he's going to be fired in 2 years, too. That's how this works. I don't think enough people realize that. More of your calls right now. Barbarossa is up next. What's up, Barbarossa?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, King said it. King said it best. Like, man, like your employer doesn't owe you shit. But I'm just like, this is also for King. This is some chicken soup. If you want it, King, you're welcome anytime, man. All right.
How do you think it compares to the Gorman mother chicken soup?
I bet it's just as good. I bet it's just as good. I'll bring some if Gorman really wants it. But yeah, I just finished putting that together, so I got to wait like an hour. But I'm tired of just all the negativity. It sucks, and I want to just put all this Aaron Rodgers stuff behind us. That's what I'd like to do.
This
and I
is
don't think
this is the last day we have to discuss it because when Glenn's asked about it, whenever I guess Muji might speak this upcoming week before the draft, like GMs typically do. Although I don't even know if Muji's going to speak. I got to look at the CBA and see if he's actually required to speak. Because if he's not, then guess what? I doubt he speaks.
Yeah. Well, just cheers to all the Asmaniacs, and that was a pretty sick game to go to last night for the Yankees, Jake. That was a really good game. Really good.
Barbarossa, you're the man. Appreciate you. Barbarossa to Neil. Hello, Neil.
Jake, my brother. King, King is, I'm honored to have lost to King in the Final Four because he puts it very succinctly. And my boy Rich, who I love and I spent a lot of time with in Vegas, we sat together at the game.
Another great night of Jets football that game was.
But let me just say this. When you have somebody with knowledge that, let's call a spade a spade. Aaron Rodgers is just not a Hall of Fame quarterback that has great stats throughout his career. He's also arguably one of the smartest guys to ever to strap it on, okay? And evidence to that is the fact that let's look at a guy like Bill Belichick, okay? You can say a lot about Bill Belichick, all right? But one thing you can't deny is the guy is a football genius. And every opportunity he had pre-game to have a chat with, it was Aaron Rodgers that he spent the most time talking to because he respects Aaron Rodgers' intelligence. And for these morons to dismiss a guy that flew across country to have a meeting just shows me the ineptitude of this goddamn franchise. Okay? And it starts at the top with that silver spoon asshole, J&J Q-tip ear moron, Woody Johnson, who never earned $1 in his life and was handed everything because he's a silver spooner and doesn't even have the respect of his own goddamn son, shows me that we're not going to be a winning franchise till that moron is no longer the owner of the team. Okay? And if we win anything, it's going to be by accident, not by design from this asshole owner that will never get another dollar out of my pocket. Okay? And
Neil, hold on, Neil. Where are we sitting for the opener?
I'm not going to be at the opener. Hey, I'm not going to be at the opener. I will not.
You'll be back. You'll be back.
No. Hang on. Listen, I am forever a Jet fan. I'm just going to say this. I just don't, for all you Rodgers deranged syndrome idiots, Indy Jets, and all you other guys, okay? Understand something. You don't know shit. Okay? Rich knows shit. King knows shit. Jake Asman right there. He knows shit. That's why I listen to this show. Okay? Jake knows the game. He knows the football. We watched a lot of pain. Him and I watched this thing together. Okay? And it was the greatest moment, Jake. You could talk about the worst sports moment in your history, but if you back up to when we were on that field and he ran out with that flag, that was one of the top 2 or 3 best moments I ever experienced as a fan of a sport. Could you agree or disagree with that?
It was amazing. And it just
that stadium was electric, Jake.
And
it
you
was
know what, though?
crazy.
But that's why this fan base is incredible. And it's just, yeah, look, I'm not like you saying that, like, you know, they're done. They have, like, I don't love the way this was handled ultimately, but I'm going to give them an opportunity to prove they're incompetent before I'm out on it.
I am giving every opportunity in the world to the new regime. I hope we win every goddamn game. I hope Justin Fields turns out to be better than Darnold or any of these other guys. Hey, that is not look, we go to camp, you know, when you go to camp or you're at college and you meet a great guy and you know, he's one of your friends and he moves on and goes someplace else, you make new friends and you do nice things. The blessing of this show is I've made a couple of really good relationships. I love all the Asmaniacs. Everybody has an opinion, okay? It's when they take their opinion and take it and be negative against your opinion, which I have a little problem with. But again, that's everybody is entitled to opinion. But there's no substitute for experience. There's no substitute for knowledge. And Aaron Rodgers has both. And the most disappointing thing I heard is they didn't even pick the guy's brain, sit down and have an educated conversation about the team and everything else. And by him saying he's worried about Aaron Rodgers, the team turning around, looking at him, shows me he really is insecure about his leadership ability. And that was really a bad look. Okay. I'm not happy with that look. Let me hope. And I tell you, a lot of the players that listened to that speech that Aaron Rodgers gave, man, I'll tell you, Aaron Glenn's going to have a big hill to climb. And if they stink, he is going to be you bet your ass he will not last more than one season if he doesn't win this year. Because I'll tell you, the team will turn on him like nobody's business if they start.
He's not getting fired. They could go 3 and whatever. He's not getting fired. But to your point, he's going into year 2 on the hot seat if this is a 4-win season or less. Right. That's kind of my point. Like, it's their right to move off of Rodgers, but it better work and they better get it fixed quickly because they're not going to be afforded this honeymoon period they're in. Aaron Glenn is undefeated as the Jet head coach right now, and he's a beloved former player. No one can take that away from him. Like, he was a great Jet. We don't know if he's a good head coach yet, and he acted the way this was handled, it's like he's Bill Parcells. He's not. He doesn't have the pelts on the wall. You can't act that way and not win. So he's got to get out to a good – this team needs to start 3-2. They need to go out there and have a big win at home against a divisional opponent in the first month of the year. They gotta show us that they're truly headed in the right direction. That, to me, is the whole key here. It comes across very arrogant when you've done nothing yet. It's bravado, and it's great when you win, but then Rex also backed it up his first year right away. They started 3-0. They beat New England in week 2. Like, that is what it's going to take for people to really buy back in that are very disenfranchised like yourself on how all this played out.
Listen, I'm bought in with the new regime. Let's be clear. Okay. This is the last time I'm going to mention Aaron Rodgers. He's moved on. We've moved on from him. I'm excited about what's upcoming with the new regime and the new season. I'm excited about it. I'm hopeful.
Where are you Thursday, Neil? We need you at the draft party. Fireman Ed called me today. He's like, is Neil going to be there? And I go, I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't say that. But anyhow, what I will say is we move on to bigger and better. And Jake, your show, Rich put it so perfectly, man. Your show has kept us sane. Without these 2 a day, it's like really been a blessing that I ran into this show. I'm not a YouTube guy. Now I'm a YouTube guy. I only listen to YouTube. I don't listen to any of this other bullshit. I don't listen to any of these shows. I don't listen to the fan. Although look, I can't help it. I had this Tiki Barber thing when he was talking about Shador Sanders, and I listen to them occasionally. I like Evan Roberts, but these guys don't know shit. Okay. Bottom line is we have to make this draft work. We will be fine. Our defense is going to be worlds better than it was with Salah. I never liked, Jake, when Salah came in and played that prevent. I felt like our team was a prevent defense team from day one because he didn't want to give up the big play. He always played back. They always gave up the first down. I want aggressive defense. Me and Peter Castro, we want blitzing. I want blitzes. I want aggressiveness. And so be it. If we give up big plays and touchdowns, I don't give a shit. Go back on the field and try to create turnovers.
And Neil,
Let's look at.
You know what I want more than anything else in 2025 for the Jets? I want wins and explosive plays like this.
These goddamn exploding cigars. Like, gotta go, Jake. I'll call back later. Shit.
I want this offense to be more explosive than Neil smoking a cigar. All right. Tony, you still on hold? We're about 2 hours in. I am not doing a 7-hour show, so I will try and get to as many as we can here. If you're on hold, I will do my best. Kyle Clifton in the raffle for 5. John O'Reilly with a super chat. It's fortuitous. I think I said that word right. I can't speak. But Jets may be better off cutting Rodgers given significant personal issues in his life, delaying current decision. 64-year Jet fan. Look, I can't speak to what the personal issues Rodgers was talking about today with McAfee. I can tell you this. He's been in constant communication with Tomlin, he said. I think he's still going to play football. And I believe if the Jets came to him and said, we want you back if, and the stipulations were pay cut to reduce this, are you truly willing to, have him meet with Tanner Engstrand, too? That's another thing. We're 2 hours in. I haven't even mentioned that. We're so sure that him and Engstrand couldn't get along. You know what Engstrand likes to do in Detroit? Run a drop back play action offense. Who's the greatest play action quarterback I've ever seen? It's either, to me, Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers. It's another thing. It's like, have him meet with the coordinator. Have him meet with that. But that's my point. They already decided they were moving on. So it's like, we can get into the semantics of should they have done it over the phone or didn't. They were hoping he was going to retire. So they didn't have to make the decision. And I don't think he's retiring. Larry in the raffle for 5. Larry, you might be a huge douche, but I'm a man of my word. $20 super chat will put you in. I've seen all your other comments. Saying, well, I'm interested is a powerful play. If it's saying, convince me I shouldn't want to play. The daft is Torres still hasn't. Thank you for that nonsense. I will be buying a fat Chipotle burrito with part of that nonsensical BS. Kyle Clifton says, slobbering over Rodgers is McAfee's job, not Glenn's. Doesn't mean he handled it great. Yeah, I think there's I think there's some truth to that, Kyle. As usual, you're spot on with a rational take. I don't think Aaron Glenn's got to bend the knee to Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he necessarily needs to come in and, if Rodgers is being honest there, and I have no reason to think he's not, tell me when Rodgers has lied about football stuff. Tell me. Since he's been a Jet. I don't think it's a great look. Especially if, you knew the decision was already made up. Why does Aaron Glenn need to basically try and, alpha him on the way out? That's how it sounds. More calls right now. Charleston Jetsrube is next. What's up, Charleston?
Hey, man, just, a couple comments that Emmanuel text was I think he needs one punch from Briga because I don't know how you blame the defense on Aaron Rodgers. Ulbrich being in over his head and not in. What do they say about the great coaches? They empower their assistants to do their job. So he couldn't give up the defensive calling, calls. And I think even if he was just a coach, it wouldn't have been good. But the fact that he was trying to be the coach and still be the defensive coordinator, he was way in over his head.
And he already admitted that was a huge mistake. I just wish he realized it quicker. What took so long, man? First thing you should have done was delegate the responsibility when you realized you were in over your head.
Yep. And, the whole, I honestly kind of forgot about it a little bit, but you brought it up. The fact that we traded John Franklin Myers for half of a beef sandwich and a bag of chips is ridiculous. We didn't even give him an offer, and then you find out, what did he play for? Like $3 million last year,
He took a
something like
pay
that.
cut, and it's just,
it's so
everything
ridiculous.
It was so poorly handled, and it's just, it's a shame, man. It really is, because like Rodgers gets the brunt of the blame, and he's not blameless. It's not like he was great, but it's like the people sometimes in this chat and just like they put the 5-win season all on him, and it drives me crazy. It's like you didn't watch the games if you're only blaming him. It's wild.
Aaron Rodgers had a top 5 Jets quarterback season last year, and anybody that doesn't think Rodgers is good would have had a better year this year doesn't know what they're talking about, because you're not even back. When you had the kind of injury he had, you're not back to full strength until the second year. If he does play for Pittsburgh, watch the bleep out, man. And I don't think Pittsburgh's that great of a team, but you get a coach, and you basically get a coach on the field. The one thing about Aaron Rodgers I didn't like is I did think, and I know our offensive line had issues last year, but I thought he checked out of the runs way too much. That's one thing. But for anybody to think that, I mean, I hope. I've been, everybody's spouting. It's been like, I'm going into year 42 being a Jet fan, right? And it's so damn frustrating, but like, I'm fine with moving on now. I really am. I personally think there's two things with Aaron Rodgers. I think I'll make it quick because I know you got a lot of callers, but I don't think Woody Johnson was hiring a coach that was bringing Aaron Rodgers back. I think that was part of the interview. That was his first narrow down was who wants to bring Aaron Rodgers back, who doesn't.
Why do you think they didn't talk to? And Tannenbaum wouldn't give me an answer on this, but I know what the answer is.
That's why they didn't talk to the other coaches, Gruden and all those other guys.
Because guess what? John Gruden, Pete Carroll, and Mike McCarthy would have.
They all wanted to keep him.
They would have evaluated their options and said, "Hey, this guy's our best chance to win for a year. We have talent on this team." But Aaron Glenn didn't want to be, saddled with Rodgers because he's told Rodgers he's worried about him undermining him. I don't know. Maybe Aaron Rodgers would have done that, but at least talk to him and get a feel for the guy instead of just moving on before even getting a chance to talk with him. But it just goes back to what I've been saying the entire time. Whether everything in that meeting's true or not, it didn't matter, because I think anyone with a brain realizes before this meeting even was set in stone, when they arranged Rodgers to come meet with them in person, they already knew going in that they were going to get rid of him. But when Rodgers said he was interested in playing, that's when they said, well, we're getting rid of you, so how do you want us to put out the messaging? Basically trying to say, if you want, you could say you're going to retire and no one needs to know that we were going to move on from you. That's what they tried to do. He obviously, I think, still wants to play, and that will be proven in a couple of weeks here, I believe.
I think the biggest positive is outside of, seeing what Justin Fields can do and potentially having our quarterback is for moving on from Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not a cap expert, and I know that he reduced his salary, but, if we would have kept Rodgers and Devontae another year, I mean, we would have had a lot of money put off over the next 2 or 3 years. So, I mean, from that aspect of it, for a new regime that's starting, I get it. Let's blow the whole. I mean, we didn't blow the whole thing up. We're still a pretty good team. But as far as the Rodgers Devontae thing, I mean, we would have had a lot of dead money probably 2-3 years out from now, and that maybe would have crippled us for another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, but not 4 or 5 years. He was going to take a pay cut, though. You were going to be able to mitigate some of the dead cap stuff.
Well, again, I'm not saying I'm a cap expert or nothing, but I know we already have a lot of dead money on the books, and if we would have had to pay him for another year or two, then I'm just guessing, like they always do, they would have.
But to your point, Charleston, think about it. They could have just taken all of Rodgers' dead cap hit all in one. They're not concerned about it because the cap raises 20% every year, and Fields is underpaid for a starter in the league. And in reality, if he's not the guy, which I'd say it's probably a 25% chance he's their long-term answer at the position, you're going to have a rookie quarterback on your team starting for you in 2026. And Russell Wilson's the best example of this because Denver took on the largest dead cap hit in NFL history and made the playoffs this past year despite that, because they had Bo Nix making pennies who played well as a rookie.
I mean, you're making a good point. And, the other thing that we do have to consider is if Fields does have a good year, I mean, what's he going to get? $40 million a year from us as an extension?
See, here's where I'll defend the Jets. It is a smart contract they have Fields on because he's on a 2-year deal. So they don't have the Darnold situation where, oh my God, what are we going to do? We can't pay Darnold and McCarthy after we drafted him. Sam's going to be a free agent. They have Fields under contract.
No, we have him for 2 years. But what I'm saying is if he does end up being good and we re-up him, I mean, for a starting quarterback nowadays, obviously at $20 million a year, we got him at a bargain basement price because we could guarantee that he would be the starter. That's why he came here, because he wanted another shot. But it's going to cost us a minimum if he is good, and I would gladly have him pay it. But it's
a great problem to have, though. If he's great, you want to pay him.
If he's good,
yeah,
definitely.
So
and if not, we're going to have unbelievable outside the quarterback lineup, because if we do end up having to draft a quarterback late or next year, trade up, do whatever we have to do, I mean, we're talking about a fairly cheap salary for a quarterback for the next 4 years. So I mean, if that does go that way, we should be able to build up the rest of the team pretty darn good. But anyways, I'm gonna just want to see how you like the Jets Hawaiian shirt. You like that?
I love it.
See the Jet symbols on it. Anyways, I'm gonna let you. I'll let you go and get to the other callers, man. I appreciate you, Jake.
You got it, Charleston. Second best outfit you wore on the show this week. I mean, you look too good in the suit to not highlight that again. Appreciate the call. So Dane says dead money's dead money. You can't mitigate dead money. Not if you rip up the current deal he's on and do a new one. That was my understanding. Plus, you understand that bringing Rodgers back at a reduced number, the selling point is you get Devontae Adams back, who's awesome. I'm just glad this is the last true Rodgers show debate we're doing. It's over. It is what it is. Disappointing. Beyond belief it didn't work. But, it just feels like we're just doing a show I did in February again. Like, it is what it is. I think they should have kept him for another year. Aaron Glenn will be fired in 2 years if they don't win. He's got to turn it around. We love him now. I hope like hell he's the guy, because his fan base deserves it. All right, here we go. Home stretch. Julius Pimpin is on the line. Hello, Julius.
Yo, what's up, James? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? It's kind of tough to hear. Can you take the headphones off and just talk on your laptop or phone, whatever you're using?
All right, hold on. Let me give me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a long time listener, and I'm actually embarrassed today by the reaction.
Hold on, Julius. Do me a favor. Call your audio is bad again. Call back, and I'll bump you right to the front when you come back. We'll take Eric's call in the meantime. What's up, Eric?
Might be pretty bad too. I just pulled into my parking garage, but I wanted to point out that a lot of people here are really polarizing on Aaron Rodgers. Some people blame him for everything. Some defend him too much. At the end of the day, he was kind of just a middle of the pack quarterback for us who had horrible coaching. So what were you going to really expect from that? It's some of the worst. I think they did have to move on from him because, they wanted to change the offense. They want a young athletic quarterback who could run with the ball. And, an old, air it out kind of Aaron Rodgers isn't the answer for that. So they kind of had no choice but to move on from him. And, I know a lot of people wanted to keep him, but if we're winning next year, no one's going to care that we moved on from him. And if we're not winning, then I don't really think Rodgers would have much of a difference. We draft a new quarterback. It was going to happen either way.
If he goes to Pittsburgh and plays well and the Jets win 4 games next year, Eric, you don't think Jet fans are going to sit here and be upset with the decision?
Oh, there are definitely people upset. I'll be upset with it. But I just, if you come in and you bring him in and, you're trying to run an offense with a mobile quarterback, he wouldn't have worked with us anyway. I hope he goes to Pittsburgh and has it.
Hold on a second. How do you know what offense the Jets would have run with Aaron Rodgers? They're running a mobile offensive game plan because they signed Justin Fields. Jared Goff
I think
was
that's
the quarterback.
why
hold on. Jared Goff was the quarterback in Detroit who's less mobile than Aaron Rodgers is, even at his age right now. And he was the guy that Tanner Engstrom was the pass game coordinator for under Ben Johnson. So that to me is not relevant. That's why I would have had Glenn and Engstrand actually meet with Rodgers and have a conversation with him and see if there was a way to actually be on the same page. And maybe it could have worked. Who knows?
they definitely could have worked it out a lot better, and it definitely seems a lot worse than it is just because Aaron Rodgers has such a platform. But I just think that's the direction they wanted to go. I could be wrong on that. I could be completely wrong, and they're only doing that because they got Justin Fields. But I think that's why they specifically wanted Justin Fields, and taking Justin Fields this year kind of gives you two chances at a quarterback, because either he works out this year and you have your quarterback, or he doesn't, and then you draft one next year. If you kept Rodgers, it was, you definitely don't have your long-term quarterback this year. If he does great and then he retires next year, then what are you going to do? I think just the new regime's kind of looking at it like that, but I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't really, I'm not in the room with them. That's just my speculation on it.
No, I think there's something to that. I guess my thing would be, I think Rodgers is better than Fields. I don't think Fields is very good. So I'm just preparing people that think we're going to get like the Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield story here. Like, I hope that'd be great, but I'm not buying it. Like, I got to see it. We got a first-time play caller, first-time defensive-minded head coach, and a first-time GM. And I'm supposed to believe that the Jets are going to be the team that is going to be able to
fix Justin Fields. Yeah.
Like provide.
Yeah, I'm very skeptical of that too.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I have my doubts. I think Rodgers with better coaching, this team could have been in the playoffs next year. I don't feel that way right now. I hope they have a great draft and Glenn's Mike Tomlin, and then they can be in the playoffs next year with Fields, because coaching matters more in the NFL than maybe any other sport. Eric, you froze, but that was a great screenshot of you. Appreciate you. Julius Pimpin, let's see if we can hear you better this time, man. What's going on?
Yo, can you hear me?
Oh, fantastic. There you go.
All right. So let me be honest, man. I'm a fan of yours. I'm a fan of your views. We usually think alike, but today is crazy. Your reaction, most of the callers' reactions, they sound like followers. Like, what new regime would want to deal with all of this? The fact that we even talking about this is the reason why I would have got rid of his ass before I even talked to him. All this extra nonsense, the McAfee shit, if he's such a damn genius and one of the smartest players of all time, he would have more than one damn Super Bowl. I'm sorry. Like, who did he make better last year on our team? We got 5 damn wins. I mean, yo, the callers are just sucking him off today. Like, it's too much drama for Rodgers. Like, what'd you say?
Have you called before?
Yeah, I've called twice before. But this is pissing me off. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's too much drama. Like, Aaron Glenn, the new regime, they're coming in to coach. They're not coming in to deal with all this extra stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not even about football right now.
But
the fact that this Hall of Famer
extra. But hold on a second. How would it be extra if they wanted him back? He would have been on the Jets right now. There wouldn't be a McAfee interview detailing them firing him.
Yeah, but the fact that he even went on there as a Hall of Famer, like Brady, even if the meeting would have went that way with a Brady wouldn't have went on McAfee today and been so petty. He would have had show way more class. Like, I'm happy they got rid of his ass and just how they did. Like,
when was Brady ever in that spot though?
No, I'm just saying, as a man, he wouldn't have handled himself the way he did. He wouldn't have went on there trying to act like a victim today. And that's all that was. He was on there trying to get attention.
Do you think the Jets handled that meeting well?
Yo, if they predetermined that they didn't want him, they can handle it how they want to handle it. Like, this guy just gave him 5 wins. Who did he make better on the team last year? Let's be honest.
So you're putting the entire season on him?
No, I'm not. No, it was a collective fail. Like, the defense failed him. Definitely the special teams failed him. Like, how many games did we lose by 1 score? Like,
Julius, do me a favor. Do me a favor. I want to continue the conversation, but your audio is horrendous again. I don't know. It was very staticky there. Call back. I'll put you right on because it was a good back and forth. But reset the StreamYard, leave and come back, and we'll get you on. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, on the Gusbuster hotline right now is the champ.
The only thing better than all them shoes is Joey D, cause he totally rules. Jake, my brother, I'm high as a kite. I love everybody. Damn, this show is crazy.
Jake, my brother, how's my audio?
The champ is here. It's your usual choppiness, but that's because you don't have an iPhone.
I gotta look into that, don't I?
It hasn't stopped you. I mean, you still won the tournament. So at the end of the day, you're probably one of the few people that could get away with having bad connections.
Great. That's great to hear. That my audio still sucks, but I just get by. So I have views, two different views. Obviously, I'm hurt from everything because I'm just upset with the fact that they didn't give him a chance. You know, they made up their minds before even speaking to him. You know, he's got the pedigree. He's a Hall of Fame player, and I think they probably just. I think what Rodgers said with Aaron Glenn with the power trip and wanting to be the boss. I think that's what this is mainly about. Aaron Glenn wants to be the leader. He wants to be the alpha in the room, and as of right now, we have to respect it, right? The one thing that I keep coming back to is Aaron Glenn is over and over and over showing us the size of his balls. And right now, he is doubling down, he is tripling down, and this is just another confirmation of he has no wiggle room this year because of what he's saying. Like when Douglas and Saleh came in, it was a shit roster. We were rebuilding. They were really tempering expectations and saying this was a rebuild, and we had no expectations. Glenn is constantly reminding us that he's here to win and win now. And this is just another move of him doubling down on him being here to win now. There's no real way in my head I could see us going 4-13 or unless we're like the Lions. It has to be like the Lions did, where they were losing games at the end, and these were all close games, and it wasn't any blowouts. Like he has no.
Year, so the 2024 Jets, where they led the NFL in blown fourth quarter losses, like people act like the Jets were getting destroyed and it was such a disaster from like a point differential perspective. It wasn't. Did they have the debacle in Arizona? Yeah, that sucked. Did they have the debacle against the Buffalo Bills, second to last game of the year? Absolutely. But you know what? They also had a lot of games where they had the lead late in the fourth quarter and blew it because there is talent on this team and they were as poorly coached as possible. So if Glenn is worth a salt, then I want to see this team win those one-score games they lost last year. I'd imagine they can't be worse at the kicking spot than they were this past year. Automatically, you'd think they're better there. Go 9-8. Let's go. Show me something, Aaron Glenn.
It has to.
Show me something. You know, Brian Dable won 9 games and made the playoffs and won a playoff game his first year, and everyone thinks he sucks and should be fired. Mike McDaniel, he made the playoffs his first year, right? Like, let's go, man. Let's win games.
And we have to look at it also. When Rex came here, what did he do? I kissed Bill Belichick's rings. He was all bravado. Everybody hated him because of how confident he was. Not the Jets. I mean, everybody other than Jet fans. We fell in love with him immediately because of his bravado-ness, and it worked out. So we have to look at this as, look, man, Aaron Glenn has some big-ass balls on him, bro. He is confident in himself. He's confident in the staff that he put together. He's so confident that he didn't even entertain Aaron Rodgers. He didn't even entertain it. They had their mind made up before he got there. So for all these little things, I'm here to win. I'm here to win now. I'm here to win. That's all he kept saying. He's very confident, and all I can say is let's just hope as Jet fans that he knows what the fuck he's doing, because the fact that he didn't even entertain, like you said, let him sit down with Tanner, let them figure out, pick his brain, break it off easy. No, they butted heads immediately. Rodgers was like, you don't know what kind of person I am. And Glenn's like, you know who I am. And I was just like, well, that's why I'm here, motherfucker, so we can figure that out and talk. And they had no interest in talking. So all I want to say is Aaron Glenn, he cannot have wiggle room and give himself a leash. He's giving himself a short leash because of his bravado and his confidence in the decisions he's making. So we just got to roll with it, man. We have 4 months. I'm glad that we can stop talking about Rodgers after this, but we have 4 months to wait to see what's going to happen. But my goodness, is this another – he's quadrupling down on the size of his balls because he is literally just I don't know, man. The confidence just has me being like, man, he can't be this confident and suck, right? That would just be like, I mean, if he's this confident and he comes out and we literally are, I smell the 4 wins and we're getting blown out and we look like a rebuilding franchise, like how some people think we are, we're rebuilding. No, this is not a rebuilding year. You can't talk the talk and then have a rebuild year. No, he can't come out talking like this and then we come to the season, he's going to change how he's talking. He's going to start saying, oh, no, we have this happen where we're looking at. No, he has to be all bravado and all confidence like he has been. And I think he's going to do that. And I'm very, very interested to see what happens. This is just another thing. He is quadrupling down. So I'm upset that Rodgers didn't get a chance. You guys don't know I wanted Rodgers back. I loved him before he came to us. I love how he put his – people who are saying Rodgers wasn't all in is a joke. That's an absolute joke that Rodgers wasn't all in. The man took the biggest pay cut. The man was all in with us. Oh, he didn't go for two training camp days. He was doing ayahuasca. Okay, guys. Yep. This is a Hall of Famer, first ballot quarterback who's a leader and knows what he's doing. So all I'm saying is I'm actually excited that Aaron Glenn is this confident because he's making me be like, because when Rex was our coach, I was fucking confident. I let everybody know I was confident.
Yeah, but you were confident because they started 3-0 and kicked the crap out of Brady in game 2. Like that's why you were like. I think an important start for this coaching staff, this GM. Can you go out there if they play the Steelers week 1, which I'd be shocked if that's not who they end up playing. Can you beat Rodgers week 1 to make me feel good about that? My nightmare coming true that he's going to come back and destroy us, right? Like that's what I hope happens. And I hope the Jets destroy him.
If you don't think Rodgers has a bullseye on us now after hearing that, I mean, Jesus, if he goes, I'm hoping he goes to Minnesota so we don't have to deal with this shit. Because if he goes to the Steelers, it's a wrap. But
remember,
before
we jumped Pennington just for him to come back and stick it to us and win the division. So just get ready. Right? That's all I'm saying. Just get ready.
I just want to say, let's go next, baby.
Hey,
we're
little
ready
Bonesy. Do you think your kids are going to be nicknamed Bonesy as well?
I don't know. My brother's name is Joe Bonesy. My wife's name is Mrs. Bonesy. I feel like we got some Sonny Bonesies and Lola Bonesies coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, the champ himself, Mr. Bonesy.
Mr. Bonesy.
Oh, and did the people vote? All right, Julius, hopefully we hear you finish your take here. Third time's the charm.
I'm gonna make it quick. I don't think Rodgers played bad last year. I wanted him back, but I don't think he made anybody better. He showed the national media that he will throw his coach under the bus, that he would throw his teammate under the bus. And as a new regime, I just don't want to deal with that. Yeah, I don't want to come in like this dude is coming in to coach. That's why he's picking these young players, these players he can mold. He's trying to build a new culture. Yo, I hear your argument today, but I don't believe if you was a part of the new regime coming in, you would want Rodgers back.
No, I wouldn't.
And I think you're disrespecting.
Hold on.
Let me
just ask you one follow-up on that. I'll let you finish.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not cutting you off.
Go ahead.
If Mike Vrabel was the Jet head coach, who's the quarterback for the Jets in 2025?
I guess it depends on who his OC is.
If Pete Carroll's the Jet head coach,
if he's coming in with a rookie OC, I don't think he's bringing in Rodgers.
Okay, okay. Well, guess what? Mike Vrabel brought in Josh McDaniels, so that would have been the Jets' offensive coordinator. Who's the quarterback for the Jets? Pete Carroll brought in Chip Kelly. Who's the quarterback for the Jets? You think John Gruden's going with Justin Fields or he's taking Aaron Rodgers?
No.
You think Mike McCarthy is going with Aaron Rodgers or he's taking Justin Fields?
Look, it's not about a one-year thing. This is about the long game they play.
I get it, but Rodgers is about 1 year, trying to maximize the talent here and having a quarterback in the pipeline because he gives you the best chance to win. What are they doing at quarterback if it doesn't work out with Fields? You're going to the draft in 26 anyway.
I feel you. The dude can still throw the ball, but energy is real important. You don't think he talked to Garrett Wilson and some of the main players. I know a lot of them talk good about him.
Why did Brees
but
Hall want him back? Why did AVT and Joe
I know.
Tippmann
I'm just
publicly want him
saying.
back?
But behind the closed door, they saying that in public. But those conversations Aaron Glenn had with Garrett, you ain't heard Garrett Wilson say nothing in public, have you?
Garrett Wilson didn't say anything about anything.
But you haven't heard him say anything about wanting that quarterback back.
I think he was
wanted him back.
No. He did an interview with Zach Gelb on CBS Sports Radio and said, what are his true feelings? I don't know, but you know what? I love Garrett, but Garrett Wilson's opinion on whether or not Aaron Rodgers should be back or not, that to me is not relevant. It should be, does he give you the best chance to win when you evaluate all your options versus what the cap ramifications would be versus where you're picking in the draft? And I guess my biggest frustration is not even that he's not here, Julius. It's when they evaluated their options, they didn't consider him as one of their options. They already said, done. Now we'll evaluate Fields versus the draft versus other veterans. Rodgers was never considered in the evaluation. That's my issue. They didn't even meet with him. The meeting was just to ask how they want to announce that they're getting rid of him. That's my point.
I hear you.
Talk to the guy.
I think we also disrespecting Aaron Glenn and who he is. No, he hasn't been a head coach before, but this dude been around. He's been around the league. He has a great rapport with a lot of people. He played under Parcells. He coached under Sean Payton. This dude's been around.
So did
Eric
everybody.
Mangini. Everybody laughed at what's the coach of the Lions? Everybody laughed at him when he came in biting kneecaps and all that crazy shit. But look where they ended up.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing.
I feel you. But I just don't think it was a bad move. I think they just
it might not be a bad move. I don't like the process that got us here. I don't like I don't think they ran a good process, to use the Mike Tannenbaum word a million times when asked about him being a part of the coaching and GM hires. I don't like the process. They didn't talk to the top coaches. They didn't talk to the best option at quarterback. Mike Tomlin wants Aaron Rodgers, Julius. Do you think Mike Tomlin's a Hall of Fame head coach? He had Justin Fields and benched him. Why do you think that is? That doesn't concern you at all?
Yeah, but look what that turned out. They didn't look. Did they do anything? Look, Russell looked good for a hot second, and then look what happened. Look how they ended the season.
They made the playoffs. They won 10 games?
They lost their last how many?
Hey, when was the last time the Jets won? Hey, when was the last time the Jets won 10 games in a season? Julius?
Nah, I feel you, but dude, the last 2 years has been so damn painful, bro.
I get it.
Go.
We're putting that on Rodgers because he got hurt.
No, but just the whole experience. Just get rid of that.
The experience is not going to be better automatically. The experience before Aaron Rodgers got here was dog shit as well. Last time I checked, the last time the Jets made the playoffs was 2010, Julius. It was bad before Aaron Rodgers. It probably will remain bad after Aaron Rodgers.
Bro, it probably will, but the last 2 years been so painful. I'm done with that whole shit. I'd rather just see something new, see what these guys can do. They ain't got to worry about the cloud of Aaron Rodgers. Like Aaron Glenn, he got some vibrato too. And something about the arrogance of Aaron Rodgers. As good as he can throw the ball, he sucks the air out the room. I'm not mad. I'm not mad, bro. I'm not mad. They handled it the way they did. They made a quick decision. I love it. He letting his nuts hang right now. Even if
Julian, thank you. Your internet at the end there was being choppy. I love it. It's like and look, I hope Aaron Glenn is amazing. There's not, believe me, this channel does way better when the Jets are good. Like, I don't want the Jets to suck. I make my livelihood talking about this team. You got to be sick in the head to talk about a team that hasn't made the playoffs for 15 straight years and do it every day, twice a day for 2 hours a day. Like, I want this team to be good, but could we stop acting like, because they moved off of Aaron Rodgers, now that means we're destined to be better? You realize it was dog shit before Aaron Rodgers got here, right? The last time the Jets made the playoffs was 2010. So that means 2011, they didn't make the playoffs. 2012, they didn't make the playoffs. 2013 or 14 or 15 or 16 or 17 or 18 or 19 or 20 or 21 or 22 or 23 or 24. The last time they won the division was 2002. Here's what I need to do, all right? I need to just take a breath because I might have a heart attack. So what I'm going to do is play some good times for us as Jet fans. Here's Brian Baldinger earlier today.
Remember when the Jets could put together an offensive line, go to Foxborough in a playoff game and beat them right there in the trenches. Wayne Hunter, you got Brandon Moore, Mangold. How about Matt Slauson that year? You got DeBrick, you got Tony Richardson, and a guy like Sean Green could go put this game away. Like, you watch this, it's been this long. This is how grainy the film is. It's been this long, it seems, since they've been able to put a great offensive line together and not allow any penetration. Tony Richardson just melting safeties off the corner. Strong backs, turning the corner into the end zone. And they could protect Sanchez like this. Like, no matter what you did, you got Mangold right there. Like, look at this. Here comes the stunt. Look at this pocket. Like, it's a cradle of love right there for Sanchez to make that throw. To Jericho Cotchery, who breaks a tackle and gets down in the alley. Like, 58 yards later, Jets were ready to score. Remember when the Jets used to put an offensive line together? God, it'd be nice if they could do that.
Remember that? I'm still surprised the footage is not in black and white. It feels like it's so long ago. Greatest day of my life, January 16th, 2011. But hey, who's keeping track? Devin says, Eric looks like the Punisher. Good take. Henny, you got to clean up the Salah Douglas mess. I mean, the mess has been pretty cleaned up, Henny. All right? Tell me what the mess is on the team. This regime is inheriting a number one wide receiver, pretty good running back room, and 4 of their 5 starters were under contract, all young in place, that this regime took over. Not to mention, they inherited a defense that has an all-pro defensive tackle that's under contract, an all-pro linebacker that's under contract, inherited 2 pass rushers. One has made the Pro Bowl in Jermaine Johnson. The other one just finished a 10-sack season, and has an all-pro corner and a Pro Bowl level nickel corner who has been paid and is under contract. You tell me the mess that Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are inheriting. They're inheriting more talent than Salah and Douglas. So no, don't tell me it's got to be this long plan to rebuild. Nonsense. Go 9-8. Win games. Brian Dable did it with Daniel Jones in year 1. They got the mess. No one's telling the Jets they got to sign dollar store players. That was their choice. They're now going into this draft 7 days from now, needing to crush it, and they better. That's the expectation. Got to clean up the mess. You tell me, is the Jet roster that they took over so bad? They voluntarily got rid of a 4-time MVP and a Hall of Fame wide receiver. They didn't have to do that. They had every right to. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to let Morgan Moses go. Could have kept him. Tyler Conklin got what? Like less than $3 million? Could have kept him back. I would have been fine with that. Like, these are their choices. They had a pretty good roster. Obviously, some of it we overrated, but some of it was so poorly coached. That's why they all had bad years, besides Jamie and Sherwood, who, by the way, they inherited and elected to keep. This roster is so bad they had to clean up the mess. Their first big free agent move is to sign Jamie and Sherwood to $45 million guaranteed. God, I'm so glad this is the last mother effing day we're doing the Rodgers conversation. I cannot do it anymore. Thomas with a super chat. Think it's funny how he had no intention on McAfee to talk about his future, only bash the Jets. Well, they asked him about it. Most of the interview was not about the Jets. It was about the Steelers and his interviews and stuff. The Jets stuff is the only thing that's going to get the headlines on this channel, because last time I checked, Thomas, I talk about the Jets and not the Pittsburgh Steelers. How many times in Green Bay did we hear he had no phone signal, now he wants a call? I'm sure he wanted the FaceTime. I don't really care. I think the Jets were in a no-win situation with that. I said it numerous times. I think if they called him and did it over the phone, he'd say you didn't have the decency to do it in person. I don't like the fact that the decision was already made before they even really had an extended conversation with him. Ralphie says, Jake sneaking this in while in Maui in between excursions. Enjoy your vacation, Ralphie. It's got to be better than being a Jet fan, I'd imagine. Glenn needs to make some tough choices to break the lethargy. Is that a word? Lethargy? That's got to be a typo, right? I mean, I'm dumb, but I don't think that's a word. It's mindset, not talent. Sorry, I'm missing the draft party. Aloha. Enjoy it. You'll be there in spirit. Wild Wave says it's a rebuild. Cry about it. I say we compete in 2027. Yeah, baby. This is what you want. You just want this team to be bad forever. Oh, yeah. We will see you later.
Just shut the fuck up. I did not ask for the dumb opinion that came out of your ass, so shut the fuck up.
All right, home stretch here. Appreciate all of you. Rich is up next on our show. What's up, Rich?
What's up, Jake? I just want to bring up the most absurd point that was brought up by Aaron himself today, and that's that he's disappointed that they didn't pick his brain. And I'm not sure why it would be valuable to pick his brain when he is famous for running one of the most antiquated offenses in the league without motion, an offense in which it's basically get to the line of scrimmage. Aaron might see something, might not see it, might throw out some hand signals, then might make a decision there. I don't see the value in someone like Tanner Anstrengt, who has been a part of the Lions, who's been in meeting rooms with Ben Johnson, who has helped put together one of the most successful offenses in the NFL over the last 3 years. I don't see the value in picking Aaron Rodgers' brain in 2025.
How about if they asked him, hey, who are good leaders on the team? Hey, we're Sauce and Garrett are up for contract extensions. What do you think of them as leaders? What do you think of them as players? How have they interacted?
I'd much rather have the coaching staff self-scout themselves, get into the building.
Agreed, but why wouldn't you want to have the conversation with Aaron Rodgers?
I just don't see the value in it, especially
why would you make the decision you're moving on until you at least talk to him?
Well, I don't think that a person who came in with a hand-picked offensive coordinator, multiple hand-picked receivers, I don't see Aaron Rodgers as a collaborative part of a new regime. So I think the most mindful decision coming into this is a clean break all around. And I just believe Glenn wanted to do it face-to-face, which I appreciate. And like many have said, if they didn't do it face-to-face, he would have complained that it was done over the phone. So that was a lose-lose situation in that. So I just don't see the value in bringing Aaron Rodgers forward whatsoever.
So then just do it over the phone then.
But then you'd get him saying they did it over the phone. They didn't have the professionalism to bring me in.
Okay, but then at least I could say, well, you know what? They clearly made it known that they didn't want him back, not to drag him out there to have this conversation and then get rid of him. And then Glenn to try and alpha him in the meeting. I mean, I just don't think it's a very good look.
But are we 100% believing just one side of the story right now? And of course, Glenn's not going to say anything because he comes from the Parcells tree and he's going to say he's not on my team anymore, so he's not going to get any insight on his end. But I don't think Rodgers is the most believable figure in a lot of these stories.
Let me ask you this. You think this was properly handled?
I think that Aaron Glenn wanted to look Aaron Rodgers eye to eye and tell him that he was no longer on the team.
Why?
And because that's just his MO. He is going to be.
Why? So that you think that's a good way to handle players to do
I
that?
think if your choice is to be the leader of men, alpha in the room, then you need to do that on a day-to-day basis. And I think firing somebody over the phone who is headed to the Hall of Fame, who is a multiple-time MVP, is not the right move for somebody who wants to be the leader in the room at all times.
Okay, that's fine. Now let me ask you this. Do you think the decision was already made before he stepped foot in that meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that.
Then do you think that is smart to already make that decision before actually having a real conversation with the guy?
I think if you asked players in the building today and staff in the building today, I think today was a good day for the Jets. I do.
That's why Quentin Williams tweeted thumbs down immediately on the day we found out that Rodgers was being released.
How many offensive players have
Brees
been
Hall,
totally
Joe Tippmann was vocal. John Simpson had an Instagram post. They all liked him, dude. You're trying to paint him as this boogeyman villain, not a good collaborator. No. Like, that's not what happened here.
He certainly wasn't a good collaborator. He brought his own handpicked offensive coordinator, and he ran a system in which it was Aaron's system. It was
now, what did Peyton Manning do in Denver and Tom Brady do in Tampa?
They
brought in their own people, had some coaches come over with them. I mean, Gronk came out of retirement to play with Brady.
Sure, the difference is they had success, and Aaron Rodgers
Right.
did not play at the same level as Peyton Manning.
I think the
and Tom
difference is
Brady.
also there were some great coaches that were on those teams.
For sure. I will not.
And the Jets were
trust
the
me,
worst coach team in the league.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought Robert Saleh should have been fired before last season. However, on the offensive side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers played a role in Nathaniel Hackett being the offensive coordinator. So he does bear some blame in not only the hiring, but also the offense in itself. That is the offense Aaron Rodgers wanted to run. He did not want to run motion. He did not want to run.
Well, I think they wanted to be able to run the ball, and they had no ability to do so because Keith Carter, I believe, was
But I think Aaron Rodgers being second in pass attempts has a lot more to do with Aaron Rodgers than play calling does.
And they couldn't run the ball.
Yeah, but he had total autonomy at the line.
They could not run the ball. Go watch the game tape for the first 4 weeks when they tried to establish the run. How'd that work? How did it work against Denver when they got stopped at the goal line in the rain and couldn't score a touchdown from the 1 yard line?
They ran the ball pretty well against the Titans. I remember Braylon Allen breaking out week 2 against the Titans.
It's one game. And also, Rodgers played well that game. He led a game-winning drive.
This is true, but he had many other game-winning drives. He had many other game-winning drive opportunities, including
Rich,
the Denver
let
game.
me ask you this.
Including the Denver game in which that he did not
How many wins for the Jets in 2025, Rich? Are you drinking the Glenn Kool-Aid, you believe?
Vegas total 6.5.
It's 5.5 right now.
Okay, 5.5.
Yep.
I think a successful season for the Jets is 7 wins and the team performs better than the sum of its parts, which is coaching, right? That's not something we have not seen in a long time.
7 wins.
I think 7 wins is a successful when your total's 5.5. Yes, I think 7 wins is 7 wins and a clear.
We'll see you later. 7 wins. Unfortunately, StreamYard sucks, so I was going to play them out like this.
You get the fuck out.
But didn't work. Rich, thank you for the call. 7 wins. Losers. Not you in particular, Rich, but that mentality is just a loser's mentality. 7 wins. They should have had more than 7 this year. Greg Zuerlein didn't become the worst kicker in the league overnight. Seven wins, man. God. All right. More calls here. We're almost done. Folks, it's time.
You'll never get my chicken soup recipe. I'm not saying that Glowski takes steroids. Need some of it. Hey, Charles. Who is that lovely lady? Send it this way, Charles.
Hey, Jake. How are you?
Great, Charles. How are you?
I could tell you're not really feeling that great because a lot of people pissing you off today in regards to the Aaron Rodgers situation. Look, I have to agree somewhat with Mr. Neil Imperial, whatever the hell his last name is.
Right.
That
you know
what? There stuff like this kind of reminds me that there are times the Jets don't deserve our fandom because of incompetent, stupid stuff like this. People not knowing what they're doing, people not showcasing a sign of competence at times. But at the same time, in regards to how I feel about Aaron Glenn handling the situation, the fact that he thought up his mind before he had a conversation with Aaron Rodgers is somewhat understandable to a degree because he wanted to go in his own direction, and he's entitled to do that. But at the same
that's not
time,
what he said,
do
though.
agree-
Remember, he said he planned on speaking with Aaron and having a resolution quickly. So we thought, oh, he's going to actually be open-minded about this. No, he already knew he was getting rid of him, and speaking with him was, hey, what do you want the messaging to be?
That's true. So that's kind of wrong by Aaron Glenn's part. But at the same time, I do have to agree with Bonesy that I like the fact that Aaron Glenn is showing a bit of boldness. Not too much boldness like Rex Ryan did in his first 2 seasons, but he is showcasing a little bit of boldness. And I think, I'm not saying he shouldn't feel that way, but at the same time, I can understand why, because he learned so much from Parcells when he was a player. He learned a lot from Sean Payton when he was an assistant coach. He learned from Dan Campbell when he was an assistant coach. So that's understandable. Obviously, he has yet to win or lose a game as a head coach. And obviously, at this point, we have to see in order to believe that he's the right guy at this point, because we're tired of the disappointment. We're tired of the bullshit. and we're tired of the constant garbage product that we've been getting over these past several plus years. And also, Aaron Rodgers, you guys know that I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. I've been a big Aaron Rodgers fan since he was in Green Bay. But there are points where he is kind of a bit of a diva, but at the same time, he does act professionally from time to time. But, I understand why some of the Jet players are upset because, they liked him, they like hanging out with him. But at the same time, you got to do what's best for the team, not what's best for you. I know there's I in win and I in individual, but there's no I in team. And that's where I kind of have to side with Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji. Hopefully Justin Fields turns out great. I do want him to succeed. I think he has the potential to be a star in the National Football League. Hopefully the coaching is good. Hopefully Tanner Angstrand learned a whole lot while being in with meetings with Ben Johnson when he was the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. Hopefully he wasn't just sitting there, taking naps and shit, because if he is, then we got problems.
Hey, Charles, question for you.
Yes?
Have you ever thought about how many miles that you've spent walking around your home on the phone with me?
No. I don't have an Apple Watch.
I think you basically have run the equivalent of a marathon in all your calls over the years.
I appreciate that. But as I was saying, I think we really, really need to really give Aaron Glenn a chance here. And also, for those Jet fans that have a loser's mentality, cut the crap, okay? I understand you think if we get 5 or more wins, it's successful. To me, I'm tired of losing. I'm not asking for a Super Bowl this year. I'm asking for a spot for the playoffs, a push for the playoffs. My expectation is a bare minimum of 10 wins. If the Jets go 10-7 and narrowly make the playoffs, I'll be very happy. Jake? If the Jets, or if they even go 10-7 and narrowly miss the playoffs, I wouldn't be too upset. Granted, the streak of not making the playoffs would suck. But hey, at least we had a winning record. We haven't finished the year with a winning record since 2015. That was our first year under Todd Bowles. Oh, thanks. I already had dinner. I had Chinese food. Anyways, I know I say that a lot. Hey, Beast. But that's really all I have to say, Jake. I hope you're doing well. Can't wait for the Asmaniac draft party next Thursday. I'll see you soon, okay? I'll see you that day, okay? Jake? Come on, I went to the bathroom. When I get my new debit card, whenever that will be. Anyways, see you later, guys.
Poor Jake. Jake, I know you look like you've been through 15 rounds of boxing. You're a good guy, but I know you look like you've had a couple fists to the eye and a couple to the face, but go out and get yourself some chicken, man. Go get some chicken and some Minute Maid. You'll get the fuck out.
All right, show's back. Appreciate it. Good job there by Gorman. Eric, only thing that is going to fix any of this is winning. So let's hope they know what they're doing. I hope. Henny says they never wore A-Rod shirts, so I don't know. Henny, I don't even know what you're talking about, man. The Jets will tell you to roll over so they could pet you and rub your belly, and you'll say, yes, please, love it. You'll defend anything they do. It's insane. JYB says, put me down in the raffle. I got you down, JYB. You're in for 5. But I agree, it wasn't handled well. Rodgers deserves to be mad. Let's see if Glenn can back it up. I hope. But it wasn't handled great, but the decision was already made. So I don't think the handling of moving on from him was handled well, and I don't think the meeting itself was handled well. But the meeting really doesn't matter because they already determined they were moving on. You know what I mean? But it all goes back to the fact, why didn't they talk to Gruden? Why didn't they talk to Carroll? Why didn't they talk to McCarthy? They didn't want anyone that actually wanted Rodgers. And Aaron Glenn intimated that he was worried that Rodgers would be too big of a voice. He wouldn't be able to lead. Tells you all you need to know. Rick Kent, free little Joey. We love little Joey. All right, here we go. Home stretch. Yeti up next. And then Devin and David, and we out. What's up?
How are you doing, man? Well,
I've been better. I mean,
yeah, you've been better. I missed the brunt of the episode. I was picking up our kid from school. I had to go to Ace Hardware and shit. But yeah, it sounds like I don't know. Sounds like you had a little bit of a rough afternoon. But either way, I'm gonna hopefully make this really fun. Give me 2 minutes. I'm gonna run through a bunch of stuff real quick. Boomer Esiason. Bear with me. Holding.
Are you just going to show us a line of failed
Oh,
Jet
yeah. But
quarterbacks?
I'm like 2 minutes. Well, it'll be quick. Lewis.
Well, he was a great Jet. That's not Klecko, great Hall of Famer. Are you just showing us all your jerseys?
No, the ones that I have on the wall. The closet's full, but these are the quick ones. The ones I can grab real fast. Sanchez. Everybody's
Keyshawn.
favorite. And then
Wayne Corbett.
but I got one today that's a little extra special.
There it is. The signed jersey that Yeti won from Asmaniac Madness. Now, Yeti, I love you, but this is not the show for this, so farewell.
Get the fuck out.
I appreciate it. I said I didn't want to do a 3-hour show. Guess what? We're about to be at 3 hours. Devin's up next. What's up, Devin?
Bro. What's up, Jake? You are the man, bro. You can hear me okay?
I hear you great, Devin. What do you got for us, man?
Hey, man. I got a couple things. First off, Gator, for you, I need you to, when we score these touchdowns with Fields, I need to hear the song. It feels good. Yeah. I needed to make you laugh. Thank you, Jake. I'm glad you smiled, man. You're having a rough day today, man. Listen, I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. You know, everybody, there's perspective. And let me just say, I have 3 Aaron Rodgers jerseys. I had the one from the previous shitty-ass uniforms when he first got here. I had the one from the new, from last season. And I got the one you gave me. So I got 3 Rodgers jerseys. So, you know what I mean? I was with it. But at the end of the day, I'm here. I'm rocking all day. You see my Jets all day. So I'm just not gonna go in on this anymore. Like, I feel like I'm glad that you said a number of times that this is the last time we're gonna have this discussion and we can maybe focus on our team and having some unity. Like, yo, we're too divisive, and that's the problem with us. And that's why I think Aaron isn't here. Because if he would have disagreed with something, it would have caused an immediate split within the fandom, and it's gonna be. I think Glenn just didn't want to deal with it, and right or wrong, love it or not love it, it is what it is. I'm just gonna move from there. I also thought about this for you, and I didn't say this the last time to you. Remember you mentioned you wouldn't mind having Emeka Abuke,
yes,
for wide receiver from Ohio.
I like him a lot.
His nickname would be E Boogie. And I feel like I wouldn't mind if they did this. E Boogie, right? You like that? All right, cool. And lastly, I think that if we, and the draft coming up this week, I can't wait. If we take Mimbu, I have a feeling like you might get that. I feel like Glenn might come back up into the end of the first round to put a contract on one of these wide receivers, because the simple fact is he doesn't know what Garrett is going to be and how they want to pay them, and we simply need that weapon. If we don't go tight end and we go with right tackle, then I think that's what he's going to do. Because we gotta get a surefire wide receiver, and these tight ends are like, we don't know. There's other than Tyler Warren, we really not sure about these other tight ends, and I think getting a good receiver would be dope, man. But I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being my therapy. I know you said 2 hours, but you're still on here and you're still helping us cope and go through this, and we can all be in solidarity and just be like, yo, after this, we're done with this. Let's be done with this, man. Let's move forward now. All right.
That's it. I mean,
I
they made
appreciate
the
you,
decision
Jake,
months
man.
ago.
I love you, bro.
Devin, you're the man. Appreciate you always. This is it. And also, let me call out that Saka, you know what, Larry Romano in the chat. I'll extend the show if you call in right now, but you won't. It's the same guy for years trolling. You never say what made up narrative I've created. I'm giving you my opinion. You feel free to voice yours. You don't have to name call, but you won't. It's the same crap. Ricky NY writes in, if Aaron Rodgers gave us our best chance to win, why did we have our lowest win total last few years with him? Can't build a team culture when it's about one guy. Glenn was right. Ricky, you're going to be you're a smart fan. You're really going to try and give me the why did we only win 5 games? You know why. They won less games this past year than in 2023 because this past year the Jet defense went from top 3 in the league to bottom 3. Their kicker, who was the most accurate kicker in the NFL in 2023, was 35 of 38 at the highest make field goal percentage in the league. Became the worst kicker in the league. Missed more kicks than anyone. Once they fired Saleh, the defense imploded. They were awful situationally. Tyron Smith was a sieve. We thought that was a good signing. That's why. You mean to tell me that Aaron Rodgers was not better than any quarterback you've seen since 2015 Fitz this past year? Like, come on, dude. You're better than that. You're a Glenn truther. That's fine. You love Glenn. I hope Glenn's great. But nonsense. Larry, where's the link? The link's been pinned. You're a bum, Larry. You're just pretending like you don't know how to get on. You click the link. Please. He's not calling in, guys. No chance. He's going to do that. I'm trying to find the link. I'm Larry Romano. Whoa. I'll tell you what. We need some greatness to end the show. And we got some greatness on the line.
I got my Iron UG. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit.
Hi, Jake.
David, how are you?
I'm good. A very therapeutic show. Aaron Rodgers, boy, I'll tell you, I think he's leaving the Jets better than when he came into it. And, I wish the best for him. I think Aaron Glenn was put in kind of a bad position. I think Woody had a lot to do with it. And, I don't like calling people's name, but Woody's a boob, and I'm a little depressed because I think as long as Woody owns a team, we're in trouble, Jake.
I hope not. I mean, look, we'll see. These were his hires. Woody hired Glenn. He hired Muji. Hopefully he stays out of the way and lets them do their thing and they're good at their jobs. Because this team has won with Woody as the owner. They were in the playoffs a lot. His first, they made the playoffs 6 of his first 11 years owning the team. So I'm cautiously optimistic Glenn's good at his job. I just know this: if he doesn't find a quarterback, just like he fired Rodgers today, he'll be fired in a couple of years if he doesn't get it right there.
Yeah, you know what, Jake? I was cautiously optimistic, but with Woody, I'm down on it. I'm sorry.
I get it. And look, please take note, everyone. David T is the ultimate optimist. And for him to say what he's saying now speaks volume.
I got my Iron UG. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit.
Like with Woody, when he took over, they won a lot of games in the 2000s. I know Al Groh, year 1, 9-7. I mean, 9-7. I mean, they haven't done that since 2015 as far as the win total being 9 or more. But 01 with Herm, they made the playoffs, right? Made the playoffs again with Herm in 02. Made the playoffs again in 04. The Jets in their history have never made the playoffs 3 times in 4 years. They did that with Woody owning the team from 2000 on. Aaron Glenn was on that 01 team. You know, obviously they made the playoffs in 06. They should have in 08. 09 and 10, self-explanatory with Rex. It's just been a long time. Also, notice how Larry Romano, I can't find the link. Ah! So then I post the link. I saw Gator, I think, took the link and posted it as well, and he still can't call in. It's always the people with the loudest mouth that when you give them a chance, you give them the platform. They don't have the balls to call in. Amazing how that works. Bino says, Jacob, you're fired up. Yeah, because I don't like when people say I'm making up narratives to fit. Like, no, I'm not. I'm giving my opinion. You're entitled to agree or disagree, but it's my opinion. Call in. This is a show for fans. By a Jet fan. Dre says, Glenn must have mentioned it in the interview. Woody was like, great, now I don't have to deal with Rodgers. My honest thoughts were, Glenn was maybe open to Rodgers initially, but to get the job, which he has called a dream job, he knew Woody didn't want him. So he's like, I'm on board with that. I could do it my way without him. But once again, ask yourself this question. If Mike Vrabel's the Jet coach, who's the quarterback this year, right? Why does Mike Tomlin want Aaron Rodgers? Why didn't they talk to Pete Carroll or Mike McCarthy? The answer is obvious. They didn't want a coach that would actually want to run it back with Aaron. When they evaluated their quarterback options, it was clear they never considered Aaron to be one of them. Anyway, I have dinner in 15 minutes with my brother, so I am out. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Romano is a bum. Beast, what do you think of Larry Romano on the way out here?
I got one word for him. You know where Stupid Town's at? You're such a waste. Waste of space.
You get the fuck out.
All right. Fun show. Thank you. Over 3 hours. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're back tomorrow morning. I'll be live in the 10 a.m. hour and then again in the 4 p.m. hour. We'll be under a week from the draft. Buy your draft ticket if you haven't already. Thank you all. Jet fans, best fans in sports, as maniacs, the absolute best. Love you all. Jets, 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 Jets. And I end the show with a rousing rendition of Forbidden Furry Love.
Peacemaker 6666 runs the dark online, but his heart stirs in forbidden time. A guinea pig, small with fur of gold. His love a secret that he can't uphold. Oh, forbidden furry love. Not a mess the stars dreamt of. Through the chaos and the hate, his tiny heart is his soulmate. Oh, forbidden furry love. Not a mess the stars dreamt of. Through the chaos and the hate, his tiny heart is his soulmate. Caged in shadows, barking threats online. But in his room, love crosses the line. Tiny whiskers, little soulful eyes. A bond so pure, a love they disguise.